steal one of these, Anna, if that's okay?
Yeah, that's
A Ziploc.
yeah.
Check, check.
Should we get started? Are we ready? Ready? Okay, good evening. I will call this evening meeting to order. We will start with open session for our board meeting of Tuesday, February 17, 2026 at 6:16 p.m. And to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, we have our interim superintendent, Dr. Chad Hammett.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. So we met as a board before in closed session, and the board took action with a vote of 5-0 to approve the settlement and agreement with student case number 2025110318 in the amount not to exceed $30,000 during closed session. And the board also took action with a vote of 5-0 to approve the settlement agreement with student case number 2025110708 in the amount not to exceed $11,000 during our closed session. I am excited that we get to welcome Phil to introduce our students that will be recognized for their choral work tonight.
All right, well, good evening, President Hanchett, Board of Trustees, Dr. Hammett, Executive Cabinet, and FSD community. Fullerton School District is fortunate to have robust music programs at our elementary and junior highs and dedicated educators who have nurtured our students' individual talents. Tonight, we're excited to honor distinct achievements from some outstanding instrumental and choral music students who have represented FSD among the best of the Southern California and statewide region. All of our instrumental music students tonight have been selected to the Southern California Band or Orchestra Association's Honor Bands or Orchestras, sorry, tongue twister, and some have reached the state level through the California Band Orchestra Directors Association. Our choral music students have been selected to the California Choral Directors Association All-State Honor Choir or to the Southern California Vocalists Association Honor Choir. And so part of this process is that we have dedicated music teachers to be here tonight. And so I want to thank Ms. Melissa Martinez, Mr. Sal Hernandez, and Ms. Mary Louise Ace. If you can come up, please, that'd be great. And now we're going to recognize our students. So our teachers don't walk away too far, please. We are going to do this in an orderly fashion. So parents, the biggest thing is pictures. When are you taking pictures, right? So I'm going to go in order by school first and category. So yeah, teachers, if you can come over here, we're going to start with our choir students, and then we'll go into in school order. So parents, you can be ready for your cameras. Beechwood first, Fissler, Laguna Road, Parks, and then Sunset for instrumental music. Okay, and so students, when I call your name, you come up, you'll receive your certificate from Mr. Chi right here. Please take your picture with your teacher right in front of this dais right over here with your teacher. And if you wouldn't mind sliding down, we want to kind of keep you up here for a group picture with our board. Over by Miss Anna M. Everyone see Miss Anna raising her hand right there, or a finger? That's her. So just slide on down, Anna, please, after you're done, all right? So again, come up here, receive your certificate. Please take your picture with your teacher and then slide on down, but don't go anywhere, okay? We're keeping you here for a picture. I can't forget this too. After you're finished, after the group picture, please make sure to come back over here and grab a cupcake, okay? One of these lovely pink boxes. And these with little white labels are the gluten-free ones, so please grab a gluten-free on this little section right here or the regulars, okay? All right, so first, from Parks Junior High School, I want to recognize Elizabeth Budiantoro. From Parks, come on up, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is an alto from Parks who made it to the Southern California Vocal Association Honor Choir. Right there. All right. And picture with Miss Martinez, perfect. And next, I want to recognize Miss Alicia Lee from Parks, a soprano who made the All-State Honor Choir and performed at the CASMET conference earlier in January. All right. Yes, perfect lineup. Thank you, students. Excellent. Moving on to Beechwood, we have Preston Chun, a B-flat clarinet instrumentalist who made the California Band Directors Association concert band and also the Southern California Middle School Orchestra. Preston Chun. All right, and I'm not sure if George is here. George Cuifa from Beechwood, a French horn player. Is George here tonight? Let's clap for George anyway, and wherever he might be tonight. All right, George. Next, we have Aaron Hahn, who plays the oboe at Beechwood, who made it to the Southern California Band Elementary Honor Band. Aaron Hahn. And next, we have Roy Hahn, who plays trumpet, who made it to the Southern California Elementary School Honor Band. Ready? Next, I want to welcome up Ben Jun from Beechwood, who plays violin, who made it to the Southern California Middle School Orchestra. All right, and next, I want to welcome up Lucas Kim, who plays a cello, who made it to the California Orchestra Association's Junior String Orchestra and the Southern California Middle School Orchestra. This way, right here. Yeah, there you go. Next, I want to welcome up Eugene Lee, who plays trumpet at Beechwood, who made it to the Elementary School Honor Band. And lastly, from Beechwood, I want to welcome Hannah Kang, who plays a cello, who made it to the Elementary School Honor Orchestra. Okay, we're moving on to Fissler. I want to welcome and honor Haley Kim, who plays a clarinet, who made it to the California and the SCSBOA Symphonic Band. And also from Fissler School, I want to honor Claire Shin, who plays the violin, who made it to the Southern California Symphonic Band. Good job, Claire. I know we're running out of room, huh? This is great. A luxury of riches. Great job, students. Keep sliding down a little bit if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on now to Laguna Road. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. First, want to honor Kaylee Lee, who plays violin, who made it to the Southern California Elementary School Honor Orchestra. Great job, Kaylee. And also Sophia Lee, who plays viola at Laguna Road, who made it to the Southern California Elementary Honor Orchestra. And last from Laguna Road, Mr. Eric Song, who plays B-flat clarinet, who made it to the Elementary School Honor Band. Good job, Eric. Okay, moving on to Parks Junior High School. Haley Hong, who plays viola, who made it to the Southern California Middle School String Orchestra. Congratulations to Haley. And next, want to honor Sophia Lee, who plays a flute, who made it to the California Junior High School Concert Band. Congratulations, Sophia. And next one, honor Miss Chloe Shin, who plays a French horn, who made it to the California and the Regional Middle School Symphonic Band. Next one, honor Hyunwoo Park, who plays the B-flat clarinet, who made it to the state and the regional middle school symphonic bands. Good job, Hyunwoo. And last from Parks, Miss Soa Shin, who plays the oboe, who made it to the regional middle school symphonic band. All right, and moving on to Sunset Lane, we have a sibling combo, I believe. First is Noah Vieira, who plays the violin and made it to the Regional Elementary School Honor Orchestra. Congratulations, Noah. And last but not least, Ryan Vieira, who also plays the violin, who made it to the Elementary School Honor Orchestra as well. Congratulations, Ryan. All right. And students, thanks for standing up here. If we could kind of gather up in the front, maybe in a couple different layers, in 2 rows, basically, so we can get a group picture. And Board and Dr. Hammond, Cabin, if you'd like to join in a group picture, that'd be wonderful. Keep smiling. I think everyone's got it. All right, one more big hand for all of our students and our oh, nope, sorry, okay. Hold, please. All right, one more hand for everyone, all of our students and our teachers. Thank you very much. Students, don't forget your cupcakes. Please walk back this way and grab your cupcakes, please. The pink box right over here. Grab a cupcake.
Anyone who wants to can stay and enjoy the board meeting. Learn how we work. All right. Well, we are so proud of our students and the work that they do. Thank you, Phil, for leading us through that process, and for our teachers for all your hard work to prepare our kids for those great accomplishments. We are proud. Yeah, we're so proud. We will be moving on. Our next item is our superintendent's report, and we will hear from our interim superintendent, Dr. Chad Hammett, and then after that, our trustees.
Good evening, President Hanchett, board members, public, and cabinet. Very happy tonight to make some great announcements. We have so much to announce, so much happening here in the Fullerton School District that we're proud of. I want to start out by letting you know that we have a new public information officer, and she'll be starting with us on March 2nd. Her name is Juliet Funes, and she's here with us tonight. Juliet, can you stand up? Juliet comes to us from the Linwood Unified School District, and she has a lot of experience in school public information work. She has worked for Linwood. She's worked for a private consulting firm that provides school communications, and she also has experience as a writer, a reporter in print media. Not only that, she attended Cal State Fullerton, so she's one of our own. So we're very excited to have Juliet join us, and we look forward to you all getting the chance and the opportunity to know her come March 2nd. Thank you, Juliet. Next, we have a recognition, and this was just announced. So this is hot off the press. So I would like our staff from Maple School to come forward, because tonight we're recognizing Maple School. All right, and we're recognizing them for what, you say? Well, they have won the Green Ribbon School Award. Now, what is the Green Ribbon School Award? The Green Ribbon School Award is a recognition that honors K-12 schools, school districts, and county offices of education that demonstrate exemplary achievement in 3 areas: resource efficiency, health and wellness, and environmental and sustainability education. This recognition is part of a statewide effort to identify and promote effective practices that enhance student engagement, academic performance, graduation rates, and career readiness. So, Maple School has been recognized as what they call a green achiever. And there are only 5 top performers that receive this recognition as a green achiever. And Maple is awarded as one of the top 5 schools who is being recognized at the Green Achiever level. Congratulations, Maple School. And board, if we could have Maple step in the middle, and we would also like to come up and take a picture with you as well. as they say in the commercials, but wait, that's not all. We are also being recognized by CalSPERA. What's CalSPERA, you ask? It's the California School Public Relations Association for an Excellence in Communication Awards. And we actually have 3 of our communication pieces that are being recognized under our former Public Information Officer, Amber Klein, as being Award of Merit or Award of Excellence stories as far as school public relations. So those 3 pieces that were put out were called Fullerton School District's Tiny Home 2, which was featured on NBC4 Bright Spot. We had Come Stargaze With Us, which is our official newsletter called The Stargazer, which Amber Klein put out. And additionally, we have the Fullerton School District Connect Culture and Performing Arts through the dynamic K-pop Battle of the Bands. If you missed that event, you missed a great one. But it's coming back. We have another one coming soon, so we'll be getting that out. We want to give a special thanks to Amber Klein for her work in getting FSD this recognition, and congratulations to everyone involved in these outstanding accomplishments. We have another recognition. It's a night of great recognitions. Unfortunately, he's not here to hear it, but I'm sure he can hear it from wherever he is right now. You may notice Dr. Rob Coughlin is not here tonight. He's celebrating his birthday, and I won't say what number it is, but it's a very significant one. Yeah. So please join us in congratulating Dr. Rob Coughlin, pictured, who is being named as the School Business Administrator of the Year by AXA Region 17. He was selected from among all the chief business officers across Orange County. An incredible honor. Dr. Rob is truly unique in the school business world. He began his career as a teacher and a junior high administrator, bringing a student-first perspective to his leadership. For more than 8 years at FSD, he's helped our budget and our many departments he oversees run smoothly and efficiently, and he's always focused on what's best for students. So again, let's give Rob another round of applause so he can hear us. I also want to thank our nutrition services department tonight. They're an incredible team, and every single day they work tirelessly to ensure our students are well fed, cared for, and ready to learn. You may not know, but they start very, very early in the morning to get food ready and to get it out to our schools and ensure that we're feeding thousands of students every day. Beyond the simple meals that they prepare, they additionally are going the extra mile to celebrate the diversity of our community. They have thoughtfully organized, or recognized and honored different cultures and traditions, including special observances such as Ramadan. You may or may not know, but right now is the first day of Ramadan. And students who observe Ramadan have been able to get special take-home meal packages. During Ramadan, when families observe Ramadan, generally they're fasting during the day. And our students who are celebrating Ramadan have been able to contact our nutrition services department, and they're able to get a take-home meal that they can enjoy with their family that evening. So special thanks to Nutrition Services for putting all that together and making sure that's been able to happen for our students. Yeah. All right, today is also the first day of Lunar New Year. So for those of you who celebrate Lunar New Year, happy Lunar New Year. And very important today, it's Fat Tuesday. Tomorrow Lent begins. So if you are sitting here thinking, oh, it's Fat Tuesday, I didn't know, you might want to leave right after this board meeting and get your last few moments of celebration. We really just are grateful for today because it's a wonderful reminder of the diversity in our community and just all of the different people that come together from different backgrounds to make up the Fullerton School District. One last thing, you may or may not seen it, is FSD 3 and 3. It's a new video broadcast that is being produced every week out of my office to provide you with the 3 most important things about the Fullerton School District you need to know that week in 3 minutes or less. So make sure to tune in, and you can look on the superintendent's page to see the most recent 3 and 3. and learn what's happening across our district, meet some members of our community, and remain connected to the great work taking place in our schools. It's a quick and engaging way to find out what's happening in the Fullerton School District in less than 3 weeks or less than 3 minutes. I highly, highly recommend the last episode. It's the construction edition. Lots of exciting stuff going on in the Fullerton School District. That's my report. Thank you.
Mr. Chad. So many great things to celebrate. Thank you so much. So now we're going to hear from the Board of Trustees, any reports that they would like to share and update both our board as well as the community. So I'll start with Miguel Alvarez on the end.
I thought you were going to go with Bev on the
Oh, switching it up.
Good evening, good evening, colleagues and members of our community. As we recognize Black History Month and honor leaders like Reverend Jesse Jackson, whose work expanded opportunity and justice, I want us to acknowledge the specific local history of racial exclusion here in Fullerton and Orange County. Historically, discriminatory housing practices, including racially restrictive covenants, shaped who could live in our neighborhoods and build community. Racially restrictive covenants were common tools used across the region to prevent people of color from purchasing homes in particular neighborhoods. And in fact, it even happened in the south side of Fullerton, where only Mexicans were allowed to live. And it is in our history that a historical landmark case, Doss versus Burnell in Fullerton in 1943, where Mexican American residents challenged racially restrictive clauses that excluded them from buying property. And while this case set legal precedent and broadened access, racialized housing discrimination persisted in de facto forms for decades afterward. And I bring all of that because of Black History Month and the leaders that our brothers and sisters came together to be able to fight for better schools, better opportunities. And this is a story of resilience. These same communities that were excluded and redlined and written out of deeds were never written out of history. They organized, they challenged unjust systems, and they built businesses, better schools, and civic institutions. And as a trustee, I don't share this history to dwell on the past of what was, but I share it because it strengthens my resolve about what must be. The legacy of exclusion calls us to be intentional about inclusion. The legacy of segregation calls us to design systems aligned for equity. And the legacy of those who challenged injustice, like Reverend Jesse Jackson, reminds us that change is possible when leadership is courageous and coordinated. We have not lost hope in what we are fighting for, even during tough political times in a difficult climate. In fact, that hope is what drives the work that we do here on this board. It is why I'm committed to building better schools, expanding meaningful career pathways, and strengthening our partnerships across the city and the pre-20 continuum, and why I'm going to run for this seat for District 1 in the upcoming election this November, and I hope to have your support. It is our responsibility to not simply manage the present, but to shape the future and to ensure that we address to ensure that no matter address or zip code, that it does not determine destiny, and to ensure that opportunity is not accidental but systemic. So that is the work before us and the work that I plan to continue to do as a trustee during my term and continue to do with the support of our community beyond in the next 4 years. And I remain hopeful because we have the ability and obligation to get it right and to bring a great superintendent and design schools that are going to allow for access and opportunity. And as an alumnus of this district and having been able to have access to that opportunity, I want that for every one of our FSD learners. Since our last meeting, it's been a busy and productive time in the district. I had the opportunity to visit Pacific Drive, and I want to take a moment to recognize the incredible work happening there. I was impressed with the Dolphin Market, and that directly addresses food insecurity. And I want to thank John for his leadership in advancing innovative practices for our special education learners. And this intentionality, creativity, and commitment to inclusion demonstrates how we can move beyond compliance and truly design learning environments where all our students can thrive. I also want to recognize Melanie Carmona at Valencia Park. I attended both the ELAC meeting and their arts night, and it was inspiring to participate and see families engaged as partners in their children's education and how arts continues to provide students with opportunities to express themselves and really just have fun, right? The Valencia Park community needs that support, and being able to have that family engagement and opportunity really allows for them to have student success. At Orangethorpe, I met with the principal and participated in the site walkthrough. And Orangethorpe really reflects innovation and intentional culture building. And I just want to recognize Debbie for her ability to impact school culture as a strong instructional leader and advocate for special education. I also had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Brown, and I won't belabor this longer, but it was great to meet with the Ed Services team around CTE and Strong Workforce Program and how there is a need for a strong collaboration with Fullerton Joint Union High School District and North Orange County Community College District. So I remain here as your advocate, your trustee, and hope to have your support for the upcoming 2026 election.
Thank you, Miguel.
Yes, Miguel. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for staying after the awards with us for the meeting. I hope everyone's going to stay dry because it is going to rain tonight and the next few days. So please wear your parka. I know I will. Again, Happy Lunar New Year. It is the year of the horse, I was told by my daughter. So she made sure that I had to say, Mommy, you have to say it's the year of the horse. They've been learning all about Lunar New Year at school, and she wanted to make sure that I acknowledged that. So if she's watching, she's in music class. She's not watching. The year of the horse. And I too want to acknowledge Black History Month because this year marks 100 years since the formal establishment of Negro History Week in 1926, which later then evolved into Black History Month. But a century of recognizing and uplifting African American history represents not only reflection, but an ongoing commitment to honoring the contributions and, as Miguel said, resilience in leaders of Black Americans that have shaped our nation. But it is also, I have it on my notes here, he spoke about Fullerton and how important our history is as well with segregation and everything that was happening back in the day. And since we have Maple Elementary School here, I think it's important to acknowledge that in the early 1970s, Maple Elementary was part of the district's desegregation efforts as students were bused to other campuses in response to racial imbalance linked to housing patterns at the time, as Miguel spoke about. And while those moments were part of a different era, the board at the time decided that it was important that we partake in desegregating our schools and being a part of this history. And so it's important that we remember this time in history. I know my aunt, from my husband's side, they were all born and raised here in Fullerton. And so my aunt remembers. She lived across the street from Maple, and she had to get on a bus to be driven to Acacia because she wasn't going to go to the school right across the street from her home. And, she remembers this, and she tells me all about it all the time. So I thought it was important. I was like, wait, when I was doing Black History, I'm like, wait, what is the history of Maple? When did we do this? Because I remember her telling me those stories of her being a little kid and not being able to go to the school across the street from her. They eventually did reopen the school. And I have to say that my mother and my father-in-law were essential during that time in helping reopen Maple Elementary. And so I'm very proud of them, part of the work that they've done here in the city of Fullerton. And it allows us to appreciate how far we have come to reinforce our continued commitment to being inclusive, welcoming schools where all of our students feel valued and supported, and that we teach them and we reflect on all these stories and that they're passed down from generation to generation and that we learn from them, right? More importantly, that we learn from them. So congratulations, Maple, on your award tonight. And, congratulations for being a part of this history, which is amazing. Being able to say that, you run the school that was part of history during that moment in time. and it's still open, and it still has, you know, a lot of memories, and will continue to. Well, since our last board meeting, I had the pleasure of attending 2 open houses at Ladera Vista and Parks Junior High. It was definitely very inspiring to be able to visit the classrooms, connect with the families, and oh my God, are our kids talented. The musicians, the dancers, the actors, every single room that I walked into was just full of talent. And you know, I feel like these open house events are particularly special for all our 6th graders who are touring the junior highs and trying to figure out where it is that they're going to go next. And so it was very important because I saw actually families at both Parks and junior high that were in the middle, in between schools, and trying to figure out where it is that they wanted to attend because of their specialties as well. But it was also important for my daughter's in the band. So it was important for her to be able to go and perform and showcase how talented their group of students are and how they can too be a part of if they you know, if they play an instrument, if they perform any of that, that they too can be a part of that the following year, be a part of that community. You know, it's important. I was also very grateful to continue to volunteer at one of our school's food banks each month that I've been doing at my daughter's school for the last 3 years since we started. And I have to tell you that supporting our families in this way has been very, very meaningful to me personally, because I know there is the need. And I love the fact that every single one of our food banks is open to the community, regardless of whether their child goes to that school or not. And I think it's important that we disseminate that information. And I tell the families all the time, tell your neighbor, you know, tell your friends, because it's important that they know that they can go there without any, what's the word? Without any prerequisites or checks, because they always come in and, you know, they come in with their grocery bags and say, I just need groceries. And it's important, and I am so blessed that we have partnered with the food bank and we are able to provide those services to the families. So again, I encourage families to spread the word, because these are important resources that we do have to let families know about. I also attended Moana Junior at Hermosa. Oh my goodness. We have so much talent, again, in our schools. That girl sang her heart out, Moana, that she had such a voice. That tiny little person had such a voice. And, you know, I'm always at awe when I go see all the stage productions that every single one of our schools, and how important it is for every single teacher, for every single staff member to be so inclusive that every person who tries out or wants to be a part of it has a job in one way or another, in one form, whether it's helping backstage, whether it's, you know, I don't want to be in front of the stage, but I want to participate, and they find something for each and every single one of them to do. And I love being able to see the place, to be able to be a part of just that magic. I mean, those kids shine on stage every single time. Coffee with the principal. All of our schools are having coffee with the principal. I've been able to attend Raymond, you know, Maple, Ladera Vista, Richmond, in other schools, because we are, I mean, our cabinet, our administrators, they are going to all the schools and talking to our families about emergency preparedness. It is so important in today's current climate and at any point in time for families to be able to come together and use the resources that our Fullerton School District offers, because we have such an array of resources, not just on our website, but in the front office. Our cabinet, our administrators are coming to schools, bringing all the paperwork. And I've told her, Linda, and I've told her a million times, her interactive way of talking to families and putting them in groups and be able to talk about where our emergency documents are at home, and the importance of being able to come to school and tell the office who is responsible in case something happens to us and we can't come and pick up our children at any point in time at school is so important. So important. And I'm so glad that our district has taken that extra step to be able to provide that for our families. I know they still have a lot more coffee with the principals planned out, but if you were not able to make it to your last coffee with the principal, I would like to remind our community about an upcoming informational parent meeting on Wednesday, February 25th at Pacific Drive Elementary, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. This meeting is going to focus on supporting families with immigration-related concerns, but we will also have information there on family preparedness. It's a packet that you can take home. You can go to the front office and pick it up as well. But we are going to have access. It is going to be accessible virtually. We are going to have daycare. So for those of you who want to come down, it is open to the community, not just to our Fullerton School family members, not just to our kids, to every single person who would like to come in and get this information. So please spread the word. It is important. Again, our Fullerton School District has been so proactive in making sure that we support our families regardless of immigration status. And we have the information and we want to make sure that you have it as well. Finally, because I received the email right today, I want to recognize the certificated and certificated management staff. On the recent human resource years of service list, I know we have people from 10 years that are now celebrating 10 years in our district. And then I know somebody who I'm looking at right here, right now, who's celebrating 35 years. Congratulations. It's definitely an impressive list. And, you know, I really sincerely want to thank each and every single one of you for your dedication and for all your years of service to the Fullerton School District. Because, you know, it takes big hearts to shape little minds, and you guys have done it over and over and over and over and over 35 years. And so thank you. Thank you all so much. You are definitely leaving a lasting impact in the Fullerton School District and our children. So thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. James, would you like to go next?
새해 복 많이 받으세요. Esther, don't check my pronunciation on that, but that means Happy New Year or Happy Lunar New Year in Korean. Just came back from military leave, and one of the things that I was able to do upon my return was to pay the Central Kitchen folks a visit. So this was an opportunity for me to renew my appreciation for the nutrition staff that make sure that our kids don't go hungry. Many of them start their day with a meal from our nutrition services, and we all know that hungry kids just don't do as well at school. So I'm grateful for all the work they're doing to make sure that meals are healthy, tasty, familiar, or new, but they're always available to you regardless of your background or where you come from. Also got to give a shout out to Mike and his team, making sure that we're procuring nothing but the best ingredients for our children. So thank you for that. It again was an opportunity for me to see a lot of the behind the scenes work on what exactly it takes to feed thousands of children across 20 sites. And make the military be envious about the logistics that has going on. So thank you for everyone that's involved with that. Appreciate it. Yeah. Scratch, yeah, and quick scratch cooking too.
Okay, thank you. Also, I want to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year and thank our staff in nutrition services, because the beginning of Ramadan does make a difference for our students who are fasting all day, and hoping that our staff are looking at that, and those students that are participating in that, making sure that those kids feel comfortable, feel included, don't feel bad about having to celebrate or recognize something that's in their culture. So thank you. I've got a few things. I wanted to give a shout out. A lot of times we hear about all the bad things that happen, right? But at this board, we are able to share things that are good and that have happened. We had an unfortunate incident at Woodcrest a while ago. I'm sure everybody knows about it. But I think what came from that is the fact that our staff felt very supported. And I want to give a big shout out to our district office and all of those people who came out and helped and made sure that our children were safe and that our staff felt supported during that transition. So thank you all for being part of that and for making that happen. Unfortunately, those things happen and we have to be prepared. And so I wanted to make just a general announcement. The Fullerton Collaborative is working with the city of Fullerton, and they are orchestrating their first government day and it will be open to seventh and eighth, some seventh and eighth grade students from every one of our schools, our 5 schools, as well as all of our high schools. And it's their first ever government day, March 25th. And I think there's going to be representatives from each one of our junior highs. It's limited this year because it's their first year and they're just trying it. But I just wanted to give a shout out to the city of Fullerton for really making that happen and working with the collaborative to have our students really learn about civic engagement. They're going to be able to take time to visit each one of the departments and learn about what all those departments do. And then end up in the council chambers and maybe doing a mock meeting or somewhat. So I think it's a great opportunity for them. For my fellow board members, CSBA is having their annual legislation week. I think you guys have gotten an email on how to sign up. If you guys want to be part of that, it's March the 17th through the 19th. And it's a 3-day and it's virtual. So if you guys want to sign up for part of that learning, it's a education and advocacy event. So that you should have gotten an email on that. Putting on my NGA hat, I think that a lot of you guys know, especially our principals and some of our district staff know, the National Giving Alliance is one of our nonprofits here in Fullerton that works alongside of our schools, as well as many other of the nonprofits that serve children and families and just individuals that that need things. National Giving Alliance clothes the needy and they provide linens. And so they work with our school district and each one of our schools. So if a school identifies a need of a student or a family that need clothing, they will reach out to NGA and say, this is what this family needs. They'll provide the sizes and NGA will provide 2 outfits, one to wash and one to wear. Organization has been around for over 100 years. Each year they have 2 fundraisers, so to speak, because everything that they make goes right back into our community, right? And so on April 1st, you guys should be getting an email and it's inviting you to their luncheon and their fundraiser. So it's April 1st at the Elks Lodge this year. So principals, district staff who usually attend those events, April 1st is the spring fundraiser, and it's denim and diamonds. Every year they go out.
I have one of them.
You do? Maybe you should have both. So I wanted to give a shout out for that. I also wanted to thank our certificated staff on their years of service. There were just too many there's 3 pages worth of them, right? From 10 years on to 35 years. So you've already made that comment. So I to echo the fact that what makes our district the best is because our staff members, right? Every one of you make a difference for our students. Every day you come to work and you're here for the intention of helping our students learn, taking care of their basic needs, because your heart is there. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank all of you for everything that you guys do. Vanessa, it was interesting for you to hear about the reopening of Maple. Because I've been around for a minute, I was part of the committee that helped reopen that. So I was part of that as well. So thank you for making that statement. Sad news, and I'm going to try and do this one. So I don't know if you guys know or not, but we have lost somebody very, very near and dear to our hearts last week. Minor Duncan passed away. You guys all know Minor, a principal of our district, a board member, one of the nicest humans in the entire world. 90, I believe Minor was 94 years old. And he lived life to its fullest. His attitude, his compassion, his empathy, his sense of humor, everything that Minor did was classy. His integrity. For the years that I served with him on this board, he would always call me kid, which was wonderful for me. But I will miss him. And I just wanted to make sure that we all give him some thoughts and prayers and really think about him over the next couple of days, because he really gave his heart and soul to this district. Okay. So that's the end of my report.
And just really quick, I'm going to interrupt because Minor actually came into the store to get a zoot suit because he was so happy and so excited to be able to wear it to one of our district events everywhere. Sorry, just had to throw that out there. He was so great. He did. He did. He showed us a few steps when he was in the store.
Thank you for sharing that, Beth. And I know there's many people who will join you in grieving and celebrating his life. Thank you. I just wanted to actually focus my short thoughts, I'll keep them short, on our junior highs, because I feel like I've had a chance to visit a few of them in this last month. I actually got to see all of our 5 middle school students represented at the No More, Do Better event that happened at the end of January, which was an event that the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force puts on. I got to be part of the planning and execution team, and we had over 700 middle schoolers from around the county come and learn from a survivor of human trafficking as well as peer educators about how to stay safe and keep each other healthy, especially online. So it was really great to see FSD represented and engage with some of the students that were from our community. I also got to visit Nicholas, Parks, and LV this last month. So junior highs are on my mind. I also have a junior higher. But at Nicholas in December, at the end of the month, I got to see some amazing things. Such great things happening at that school. I mean, as the kids say, like, the vibe is great. You know, it's just from the pre-AP classes to the spider lab and the robotics, the CTE programs that they've got going on there. I got to see a dance performance. Just really impressive work, including the DLA Spanish instruction that I saw in person was really impressive. So I'm really excited about what's happening there. I went and visited Parks this last 2 weeks. Actually, I got to go twice in 1 week. I wanted to visit to see with new principal Jenna Bright, and then especially as we're looking at our performance academy, just checking in on how that's going, and was impressed with just working out a lot of the kinks of the handoff of kind of after school and how things work that way. I got to see where the students, especially in our Delta program, received a presentation from the district attorney's office on a really tough topic of sexual assault, but all young men, handled it with grace and maturity and really respectful. It was a really great moment. We're excited about what they're doing there. I got an impromptu choir concert, and I walked into Miss Lee's Korean language class, and kids were cheering for each other as they got answers right. I've never seen that happen spontaneously at a junior high. It was so sweet. And I saw, students picking up trash during lunch with the custodian because of the relationship that she's built with the students. So just really good things. And then last week, we got to walk around with the ASB students at Ladera Vista Junior High, because the city periodically will have opportunities for us to engage and talk about safety, especially around streets and communities and pathways to school. And Mari Montgomery does a great job of continuously improving the ways that we work in our community and with our city. And so I'd asked about Ladera Vista. I drop off kids there every day, and I see a lot of near accidents on especially Acacia and Wilshire. So I said, when was the last time we looked at this? And is there an opportunity for us? So instead of adults leading the way, kids led the way. And so the ASB students, with Ms. Montgomery's support and Ms. G's ASB leader, they prepared, and they were the leaders of our process. So we got to walk around with 2 city traffic engineers, and see things through their eyes and take pictures and do assessments of sidewalk cracks and intersections and traffic flow. And it was really great to tag along. Vanessa came. I invited a couple of PTA parents to be accompaniment to the student as they led us. So it was great to see things through their eyes, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of their final report as we learn from what they saw and how we can continuously improve safety for our students as well as the parents and the community around there. And I just wanted to very briefly give an update of our superintendent search, as the community is also looking into this process, because we had a great response. We had over 2,400 people participate in the online survey that we had, as well as interviews that our search for firm conducted for us on our behalf, where they shared what they're looking for in a new superintendent, the qualities that they want in that person, as well as what's working well in our district and things that that are challenges that we want to continue to grow in. So great responses. We have many applicants now, and it's our job as the board to sift through those. The leadership associates who we've selected is now conducting background research to make sure that they are who they say they are and their references check out, and we will narrow it down to have interviews in mid-March. So that's the update on where we're at in that process. So moving on from our reports, we'd like to now hear from our associations. So I'm going to start with Vida because I know you're here. Would you like to join us?
Okay. Hi, good evening, President Hanchett, board members, Dr. Hammett, cabinet, FETA members, and guests. We're excited that 45 teachers and nurses were able to take advantage of the retirement incentive. As we listen to the reasons some chose to leave the occupation they love, we realize that for many, it became more of a blessing than simply time to retire. Some chose to leave to care for elderly parents. Others are supporting spouses with medical needs, helping with grandchildren, focusing on healing their own bodies, or prioritizing their mental health. For some, it was simply their time. For others, the incentive made it financially possible to retire a year or two earlier. Some felt ready due to the changing direction of education, while others were excited because this was the year they had always planned to retire. No matter the reason, we sincerely thank the district and the board for providing this opportunity. We also want to gently remind you all that many of us seasoned professionals are leaving, and as new educators and nurses step into these roles, additional training, support, and patience will be essential to ensure their success. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that good reminder. Do we have anyone from our CSEA represented today? Good.
Good evening, President Hanchett, Dr. Hammett, members of the board and cabinet. Marlene Acosta, Chapter Secretary, speaking on behalf of CSEA. I'd like to begin by thanking the ONCAR staff and management for their support of the program expansion. Some sites have had a notable growth in their program, and we realize there are both challenges and opportunities that follow. Thank you also to Dr. Hammett for the seamless transition to supporting as our interim superintendent and continuing our regular PAL meetings with our chapter's executive board. We're grateful for the district leadership and their commitment to open dialogue. In our corner, Classified Employee of the Year nomination forms and scholarship applications have been sent out. These recipients will be announced at our end of the year event, which is in the planning stages. Our members are currently voting on the date and theme of the event, which we will be announcing soon. Lastly, our chapter held a small installation ceremony for our treasurer, Roxana Arellano, who assumed the position mid-year. She was sworn in by our first vice president, Tatiana Ortega, who also serves as a regional representative for our area. We officially welcome Roxanne to the team and thank Vicky Vasquez, former chapter treasurer, for her guidance on the treasurer's role and responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlena. ELAC? Or DLAC, excuse me, ELAC.
I'll be reading on behalf of
Okay.
ELAC. Good evening, President Hanchett, full board members, and the Executive Cabinet, Interim Superintendent Dr. Hammett, and all families who are present and listening. First, I want to thank the Fullerton School District for supporting our families, especially for providing the latest, most up-to-date information on immigration concerns. We are thankful for the next meeting at Pacific Drive on February 25th at 9 a.m. in person and virtually. I also want to invite everyone to our next DLAC meeting on February 20th at Richmond Elementary School. We will continue our wellness theme and have a physical activity for all. By Sung Chi. Lastly, a big thank you to the Educational Services Department for working with us and supporting all our families. You work hard. Your hard work helps our students and parents every day. Thank you for your time and support. We look forward to seeing everyone at our next DLAC meeting. Sincerely, Myra Zamora, DLAC President.
Thank you, Anna. How about, I see Joanne, PTA, please?
All right. Well, good evening, Dr. Hammett, President Hatchett, and members of the board. My name is Joanne Cho. I have the pleasure of serving as president of Fullerton Council of PTAs. Today, the PTA is celebrating 129 years of advocacy, legacy, and impact. The National Parent Teacher Association was founded on February 17th, 1897. Today's PTA is vibrant and active and includes a network of millions of families, students, teachers, and community members, all advocating for all children, youth, and families. FSD has 20 PTA units volunteering at each school. We are committed to improving the lives of all children and families. And the heart of PTA is our members. So just like I tell everybody, our Fullerton Council PTA membership has continued to grow. We currently have 4,426 PTA members across our PTA unit schools. It's not too late. You can still join. Remember, your membership and donations can help us in the PTA make positive difference in our individual schools and our students' school experiences. Our PTA Arts and Reflection program continues at the 4th District PTA, which is the Orange County section. It's a Reflections Gallery will be held on March 7th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Orange County Department of Education in Costa Mesa. We have students from Laguna Road, Sunset Lane, Orangethorpe, Golden Hill, Raymond, Robert C. Fussler have moved on from the Fullerton Council to the Orange County level. We are hopeful that some of our talented students will be moving on to the state level. On February 23rd and 24th, members of our local PTA units will be traveling up to Sacramento for the annual 4th District Sacramento Safari event. This 2-day advocacy trip, our state capital, allows our local Orange County PTA members to hear from key speakers on issues that affect children, youth, and families, learn about the inner workings of state government, and advocate directly to our state legislators about issues that are important for us here in Fullerton. On Wednesday, March 11th, the 4th District PTA will be holding its annual administrators' dinners at Knott's Berry Farm Hotel. The annual association meeting will begin at 5:30 p.m. and the dinner begins at 7. All of you are invited, and our superintendent as well, and our assistant superintendents too. And all the PTA members are invited to join us for an amazing chicken dinner and enjoy the 4th District Spotlight Awards that are presented that evening. If you want to, you can go on the 4th District website to click now and come be with us. On April, so now let's go back to us. So on April, in Fullerton Council PTA, we have an installation luncheon. It has been scheduled for Tuesday, April 28th. This is our spring luncheon where we celebrate our current PTA presidents and we welcome new PTA presidents for the next school year. Formal invitations will be coming out soon. And as a reminder that our council meetings are held in Fullerton Joint Union High School District Boardroom the 4th Tuesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. Our next meeting is February 24th, 2026. Feel free to reach out to us at any time at fullertoncouncilptainfo@gmail.com. We're always happy to hear from you. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. And that concludes our report.
Thank you, Joanne. Do we have anyone from our Special Education Parent Association?
No report.
Okay, and then FESMA?
No report from FESMA either.
Okay, that's fine. Then we will move to persons addressing the board. And I will read. I believe we have 2 public comments which are not agendized. So we will follow our rules of decorum, which per board bylaw 9323, individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board items, limits the total time for public input to each item to 20 minutes. The total time allowed for public comment shall be 30 minutes. Public comments about an item that is on the agenda will be heard at the time the agenda item is considered by the board. Public comments about an item that is not posted on the agenda will be heard at the beginning of open session when called upon by the board president. No action or discussion may take place on an item that is not on the posted agenda except as expressly authorized by law. Since the board cannot take action on items that are not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Board members may request that an item be placed on a future agenda for further discussion. The board president and superintendent will determine the best time to place an item on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the board are invited to complete and submit a request to speak slip to the executive assistant, and these slips are available at the entrance of the room under the big yellow sign. So we have the first is Z.J. Hahn and then Jeremy Rose. So if Mr. Hahn, you can proceed to the podium. Yes, thank you.
Good evening, Interim Superintendent, elected board members, department heads, cabinet, and dedicated school district staff. I am ZJ Hahn. I first became familiar with the city of Fullerton when I relocated here in 1978. I am here tonight by invitation from a district board member. I consider that conversation private and confidential, although there's nothing secret about it. I just have a class in ethics from graduate school. So if that person wishes to share, that's not a big deal, but I'm not going to. I became concerned about the school route for our elementary school students who walk to school in the street, going to and returning home from Orangethorpe Elementary School on 1800 and 1900 West Page Avenue. As you may or may not know, Page Avenue has no sidewalks or curbs. 5 days a week, minus holidays, winter break, spring break, and summer breaks, I see elementary age students 5 years to 12 years old walking alone or with a parent or adult in the street. I have been asking the elected Fullerton City Council members, including Mayor Fred Young and 4th District Council member Jamie Valencia, to address this issue of no curbs or sidewalks on Page Avenue, and I've done this for the last 3 years, attending both meetings each month on the first and third Tuesdays. A bit of history. The block of Page Avenue was county land for decades, yet the city of Fullerton annexed this block in 2004, over 21 years ago. The current city director of public works, Stephen Bias, sent me an email, and in it he stated this street has been neglected since they annexed it over 21 years ago. I'm here tonight to ask the Fullerton School District if they have an appetite to prioritize the safety of Orangethorpe Elementary School students. The city of Fullerton has nice parks and facilities in districts 1, 2, and 3, which is the north part of Fullerton. Yet voting districts 4 and 5, the south part of the city, gets neglected far too often. When I watch the students walk in the street for lack of sidewalks and curbs, one recognizes this is a predominantly immigrant community. They need a concerned, active, local citizen to speak up for them. Let's take student safety seriously. Thank you for your time.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Hahn, I'm going to ask Mr. Wilkins to touch base with you and just get your information. So he'll interact with you and get your information so we can be in contact.
Thank you so much for that. That's very wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, thank you, Mr. Rose.
Hello, good evening, Fullerton School Board Superintendent Hammett. My name is Jeremy Rose, and I'm the owner of End Zone Sports right here in Orange County. So tonight I am here just for all good news. A long time ago, I was a graduate of Hermosa Elementary School, and following that, I went to Sonora. I can't even remember the graduate year because I'm getting older now. But now I'm working at Commonwealth, Pacific Drive, and Rolling Hills this year. And I have to say, it's like coming back home. I even have the same best friend from 4th grade at Hermosa, and I took a picture of the mural. I sent it to him. I'm like, Jeff, 40 plus years later, plus, we're still friends. And it was amazing to see that. But I have to say this year, becoming a vendor of Fullerton Unified has really been a pleasure. On behalf of my entire team, all of my sports coaches, I like to say that the kids at this district, as well as all the staff at our schools, have been amazing. I want all of you to know, as well as the other supervisors, how great a job all of your site directors at our sites have been. First off, I want to start with Mr. Tizak Castillo of Pacific Drive. He does an amazing job communicating with us, as well as the role model he is to all the kids. His enthusiasm day in and day out is amazing. Second, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan over at Commonwealth. Jonathan is pretty new to the district, but he's so easy to talk to. He's great at calling me back, as well as communicating with my staff, and he is just a pleasure to work with. Last but not least, I want to share about the killer team of Amber and Julie over at Rolling Hills. These two ladies do a great job over at their school, and they work very well together, as well as with us. And Amber has a very cute new baby as well. I also want to thank the district team. Megan, Maritza, and Jason are been a pleasure to work with. As a business over of 20 plus years, customer service is really overlooked in business these days, but the emails that those ladies send out, if it's a venue change or or I hire a new coach, whatever it may be, is really appreciated. Customer service is extremely important. We are excited to grow with your district. This is nothing has been nothing but a positive experience for me and my coaches, and I want to thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that report. Thank you. Okay. At this point, I think we can move on to approving our board meetings from our January 20 board meeting. So I'm looking for someone that we approve those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the meeting
Okay.
for January 20th.
In a second. Okay. You want to make some, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Bring it back again. Oh, we need microphone for you, Bev, I think.
Sorry. For consistency's sake, I just wanted to bring the approve minutes page of the minutes where we are approving the December meetings. And then if we could change the seconded by Trustee Alvarez as opposed to Trustee Miguel. It's just in there twice. And for consistency purposes, we were a trustee with last name.
Yep.
And on that one, it was just trustee first name. So I just thought we could just change it with Trustee Alvarez on those two, just so it's cleaner.
Absolutely. Anna, you got those?
And that way she doesn't have to put it in next month's.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll approve the minutes with that change. Okay, so it's been, Bev, you seconded it?
Yes, with
the amendments?
yes.
Okay, then let's
Corrected.
take a roll vote. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Any no opposed? Nope. Okay, then it passes. Approve those. Next, we're going to look at our agenda, but I believe that we have one suggested change. So, do I have I need to approve it first, and then
No, I think we're going to approve it with the amendment.
okay. So let's yeah. Bev, would you like to bring that up, please?
I would. Item 10D on our agenda for this evening is voting for the CSBA delegates. I think that they're having some confusion on the delegates still, and I'm not sure the ballot is completely correct yet. We still have one more meeting before that has to go in. So I was suggesting that we just wait for the March 10th meeting before we vote. I think that way gives us time in case somebody else has to come in there. They're just trying to streamline, and things have not been the best.
And we
So-
plenty of time before the deadline.
Yeah, because the
The
16th,
13th?
Oh,
it's the 16th. We have to have it by March 16th, and we have a meeting on March 10th.
Perfect.
So we have that meeting where we could do it, and then we could submit it. So,
Yeah.
So what we would just do is take 10D,
We'll strike it from today's agenda.
10D, and put it to the March meeting. Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion about that or any other changes to our agenda? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda with the change of striking 10B from today's agenda, moving it to March.
So move.
Second.
Okay, moved in second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5-0. Oh, I say aye also. So there. Thank you. Okay, so agenda is approved. Next, then, we will move on to presentations, which we are going to hear about our local control accountability plan. Welcome, team, to tell us about LCAP and our mid-year report.
all right. Ready?
I guess after this presentation, I'll start working my K-pop dances, get ready for DLAC then. Thanks, Anna. I appreciate that.
Is that the activity we gonna do?
We're going to hold you to that. So
Good evening, Board President Hanchett, Board of Trustees, Interim Superintendent Dr. Hammond, Executive Cabinet. As you know, the Local Control and Accountability Plan, or the LCAP, is a tool used by districts to set goals, plan actions, and identify resources to improve student outcomes. In June, we will present the 2026-27 LCAP for your approval, but in the meantime, the state requires us to provide a mid-year report, and that's why we're here presenting tonight. So we are currently in year 2 of the LCAP 3-year cycle. Next year, we'll be implementing year 3 of the current plan, while at the same time writing the new 3-year plan. The LCAP committee will review the actions and services from this LCAP and also review the metrics for each goal. Then the committee will make recommendations to keep what has been working and also to change or remove any actions that have either not been working based off of the metrics or is no longer relevant. Tonight's presentation will include a brief overview of the LCAP process, a mid-year update on the available metrics used in the LCAP, a summary of the LCAP Advisory Committee activities, as well as a budget update. The LCAP includes the goals of the district, the actions taken to achieve those goals, and the metrics used to identify and evaluate the actions and services. So on the slide here, you'll see the 4 LCAP goal areas for Fullerton School District. Under each goal, actions and services are determined and implemented to meet these goals. So here is a summary of our mid-year results. Our iReady mid-year results show that for both ELA and Math, this year's students are scoring slightly lower than last year's students. Although the progress made from the beginning of the year to mid-year has been approximately the same as last year's group, there's still some work that needs to be done to ensure that our ELA and Math results on this year's CASP testing continue to rise on next year's dashboard. Ed Services staff, with the guidance of Dr. Hammett, are meeting with various site admins to ensure targeted supports are being provided to students who are not making that adequate progress that we are expecting them to make on the iReady test. Our chronic absenteeism rate as of the end of December are slightly lower than last year's. Also, you can see that our suspension rate at the mid-year mark of the school year is about 0.5%. If the trend continues, we anticipate our suspension rate will be lower than last year's rate of 1.3% that was reported on last dashboard report. In terms of our English learner reclassification, 178 students have been reclassified during the fall reclassification window. This year's numbers are a little bit lower than last year's, and that's primarily due to the high number of students that were reclassified last year. And we talked a little bit about that at the last month's presentation, which basically just leaves less students that are qualified to be reclassified. Now I'm going to hand it over to Esther Kim, Director of Ed Services, who will share about the team's work on community engagement and input, as well as a summary of our LCAP survey results.
Good evening. The California Department of Education requires school districts to consult with, at a minimum, the following partners: teachers, principals, administrators, other school personnel, local bargaining units, parents, and students in the development of the LCAP. At FSD, we engage all of these required partners, plus more. The LCAP Advisory Committee meets 4 times a year to review data and revisit our LCAP goals. So far this year, we met 3 times, and we are meeting 1 more time in the spring. We also gather input from the Superintendent Student Advisory, made up of students from all 5 of our 7th and 8th grade sites. Third, we administer our LCAP survey to students, parents, community members, and staff. This year, we focused on increasing the number of parent responses. One of the efforts included setting up devices at the Champions for Children block party so families could take the survey on the spot. We received 209 more parent responses than we did last year. Principals and our SSAs also played a key role in sharing the survey link and encouraging participation, so thank you to all our principals and SSAs. This table shows the number of responses that we received from each population. And now I'm going to share some of our survey results. Our surveys use a 1 through 4 scale, where 4 means all of the time and 1 means never. Participants rate a series of statements about their experiences. In our LCAP, our 3-year target is to maintain an average rating of 3.0 or higher. And for any areas that started below 3.0 in year 1, our goal is to increase it to 3.0 or higher by the end of the 3-year cycle. This graph shows 3 years of data for 4 different subgroups regarding academic rigor. These statements measure how well the school set expectations and provides support while giving students engaging real-world learning opportunities, including effective use of instructional technology to build strong thinking skills. We are very close to meeting or exceeding our level 3 goal for all subgroups. Connectedness statements measure how students and families feel cared for, connected, and included at school. Elementary students' ratings of connectedness dropped, while those of junior high students and parents increased. An example of a statement that students rate is, "At school, I feel comfortable sharing thoughts, opinions, and feelings with other students." These statements on the next slide measure whether the school environment is safe, respectful, kind, and inclusive. All populations rated school safety above 3.0 except junior high students, which is trending upwards towards our goal. These statements measure staff capacity to recognize, respond to, and integrate students' social emotional learning needs. Teachers, principals, and other administrators reported higher levels than last year. The prompts in this section measure staff ability to differentiate instruction, use technology to enhance learning, support ELs, connect instruction to students' identities, and partner with families through resources and communication. Teachers, principals, and other administrators reported similar levels compared to last year. These statements measure how teachers and principals feel about students' overall experience. Teachers, principals, and administrators rated school climate higher this year compared to last year. And finally, the items in this section measure how parents experience relationships, partnerships, and decision-making, including whether they feel welcomed and respected, receive clear communication and support for learning at home, and have meaningful opportunities to advocate and participate in school and district decisions. Parents reported a higher level in all 3 areas compared to last year. This table presents some specific prompts with the highest increase and decrease from previous year's values for each group of respondents. And the highest growth was from parents regarding the prompt, "I have opportunities to help plan family engagement activities at my school." And the greatest drop was from teachers regarding the prompt, "Students are kind to each other at this school." Now our Director of Business and Fiscal Services, Damian Ibarra, will share about the LCFF and differences between our adopted and first interim budget.
Thank you, Esther. Good evening, President Hatchett, members of the Board of Trustees, Interim Superintendent Dr. Hammett, and members of the Fullerton School District and Cabinet. Sorry about that. As Director of Business and Fiscal Services, I'm pleased to present the financial portion of the 25-26 LCAP mid-year report. This update connects the Local Control Funding Formula, LCFF, resources to the goals and actions of our LCAP, with the focus on how funding supports English learners, foster youth, low-income students, and all students across FSD. Tonight, I'll briefly review how LCFF works, distinguish between unrestricted and restricted resources, highlight mid-year changes in revenue and expenditures, and show how LCAP-aligned expenditures are tracking against adopted budget. Let's stay on this slide. This slide provides a brief overview of LCFF and how it ties directly to our LCAP. The LCFF includes base funding, which is the bottom of the pyramid. This is what every student generates based on average daily attendance and grade span adjustment. The other 2 parts of the pyramid are LCFF supplemental and concentration funding. This is generated specifically by our unduplicated students, English learners, foster youth, and low income. Supplemental funding is 20% of the adjusted base grant and is multiplied by the unduplicated pupil count, or UPP. Concentration funding is 65% of the adjusted base grant multiplied by UPP that exceeds 55%. As part of LCFF, we also receive TK and transportation add-ons. Because FSD unduplicated pupil percentage is 60.79, which is above the 55%, we qualify for concentration funding in addition to supplemental funding, which significantly enhances the ability to provide targeted supports. And although LCFF dollars technically are unrestricted, the state requires that our expenditures align with our LCAP goals and actions. And that is the focus of this mid-year report. Next slide, please. So this slide clarifies the difference between unrestricted and restricted resources. Unrestricted funds are primarily LCFF dollars, and while they're flexible, they must still be used to support the goals and actions outlined in the LCAP, and are subject to LCAP-related audit and oversight by our County Office of Education and also our external auditors, and eventually it makes it over to CDE. Restricted funds, by contrast, must be spent on specific purposes or programs and carry additional reporting, compliance, and specific audit requirements. Examples of restricted funds are our Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, ELOP, Title 1 through 4, Learning Recovery, and Special Education, among others. On this next slide, we're going to present our 25-26 general fund budgeted revenues at adopted budget and compare it to first interim, which are the most recent board approved financials. Total LCFF funds which are unrestricted increased from 142 million at adopted budget to 142.7 at first interim. This is an increase of 0.7 million. All other restricted state funds increased from 29.8 to 35.4, a 5.6 million increase. Restricted local funds increased from 15.7 to 16.5, an increase of 0.8 million. Federal restricted funds increased from 5.8 to 6.7, an increase of 0.9 million. And on the next slide, this explains the key drivers behind these revenue changes. So on the unrestricted side, the LCFF side, the increase of $0.7 million reflects a $1.3 million increase in TK implementation from 10 to 1 racial TK classes, which it's offset by a $588,000 reduction due to decrease in enrollment and unduplicated pupil counts. On the restricted side, state funds increased by 5.6 million, primarily due to ELOP funding received to implement district-wide Encore program, and this was after budget. Local restricted funds increased by $0.8 million, driven by funds received after adopted budget as well. And federal funds increased by $9.9 million, mainly from prior year carryovers, as noted on the slide. Next slide, please, Anna. So this slide summarizes the general fund budgeted expenditures at adopted budget versus first interim. Budgeted unrestricted general fund expenditures increased from 120.9 to 121.7 million, an increase of 0.8 million. Budgeted restricted general fund expenditures increased substantially more, from 76.3 million to 93.1 million, an increase of 16.8. This reflects the fact that as new restricted revenues and carryovers are recognized, we're also budgeting corresponding expenditures to carry those programs and supports. Next slide, please. This slide provides more context on expenditure changes. So on the unrestricted side, the increase of $0.8 million overall, it's partially due to a $2.4 million increase due to the 2% pay increase, and also a $2.5 million increase from prior year carryovers. This is also offset by projected savings as noted on the slide. Restricted expenditures increased by $16.8 million, primarily due to prior year carryovers and new restricted funded, also as noted on the slide. Next slide. Thank you. This final slide shows our LCAP aligned general fund expenditures compared to adopted budget. Total LCAP expenditures remain at $185.2 million in both adopted budget and first interim budget. By first interim, we had spent $48.7 million of that amount, leaving $136.5 million remaining to be spent over the remainder of the year. The key message here is the fact that the Fullerton School District is on track to spend all of our budgeted LCAP aligned expenditures, ensuring that our LCFF resources continue to support the goals, actions, and services outlined in the LCAP for our students, particularly our English learners, foster youth, and low-income students.
Okay, so for the rest of the LCAP cycle, the team will continue to engage key decision makers, our partners, and then we will draft actions that we will present at the final LCAP meeting for the advisory committee. And then we will share the draft with our board, and we will post it on our website so people can provide feedback on it. And then at the first board meeting in June, we will hold an LCAP public hearing. And then in the second board meeting, we will bring it to you for approval. Thank you.
With that, we'll take any questions that you.
Where do you want to start?
I have a question on the LCAP mid-year report slide, the one around current metrics update, where we're seeing ELA scores decline and math scores decline. Which school sites are declining year over year?
I don't have that with me, but that's something that we can provide through.
Okay. And then I was wondering on slide, actually, one thing I didn't see in here, and I know that the governor did a May revise, and there was the Golden State Literacy Plan and state funding, which created about $500 million to go to early literacy coaches and then mathematics instruction. Where is that located in the revenue notes of the funding that came from Assembly Bill 1454?
So that would be part of restricted resources, and it would be part of like other funds that are listed.
So other state funds restricted. Does that account for that difference of $5.6 million?
No, that's all ELOP funding.
Okay.
The other funding is part of, let's see. I'm sorry, let me get my glasses.
And the only reason why I ask is because of that slide of where we're seeing decline in literacy. And so I know that the governor wanted to fund $500 million for literacy coaches and reading specialists and $200 million for teacher training. And targeted LEAs would be getting $50 million.
So that would be part of revenue, but also expenditures, and I think it's second to last slide, Anna, if you can go back, like, yes. So this slide right here, it's at the very end where you see in other, in 738,000 others, there's like 10, 15 other amounts that were under $100,000 that I didn't list that are part of those restricted expenditures. So that's part of that.
So do we know what amount we got from the state around AB 1754? Only because I want to make sure that we can that funding isn't here, and I want to make sure that it went to the right where because we can account for restricted funds and
right.
Balance budgets and do all kinds of creative financing all the time and with our dollars. But that funding in particular, just because we're seeing year over year decline for literacy rates, and that was a huge push by the governor, I just don't see it here in this report. And I want to make sure that that money gets put for teachers and improving literacy if we're seeing a decline.
That is definitely accounted separately by a specific resource, so we do have to track it and budget separately, so I can provide you with that info.
great, and I'd like to see where it went in the district.
You got it.
On that same note, when we talk about our iReady scores, so the decline is in iReady scores.
Yeah, so basically,
Last year, we had an increase in
right, and
our scores.
and
This is
sometimes
iReady.
yes, but usually the iReady test is correlated to the state test.
Mhm.
So typically, in terms of the trend, you'll see similar patterns with that. Last month when I shared with you about our ELA as well as our math scores, that was significantly high. And so anytime you see that huge spike, there's opportunities where you'll see a little bit of a dip, and that's kind of what we saw through our iReady scores. Trend wise, I mean, we're still increasing as we're going. That's why I did mention we're meeting with various schools just to make sure that we continue to do the good work. Because we would still like to see an increase in our scores at the next dashboard report. But typically, when you see a huge spike, there are chances where you'll see a little bit of a drop. But over like 3 or 4 years, you'll still continue to see an increase in the trend. So.
That was going to be my next question is what, at this point, we can identify that and what are we doing about it? So I'm assuming that you're going back to the schools that it's hitting and,
yes.
and really providing. And again, RTI, when we look at things, for me, RTI makes a difference in student achievement. So I'm hoping that as we look at this LCAP going forward, we're really not taking away that service.
Yeah, and a lot of times when we meet with schools, we don't look just at overall results, but we also look at like grade level results. We'll look at various student groups as well to make sure that we're really targeting specific student groups that may need that extra support.
What other general question? When you talked about the revenue notes, Damien, when you talked about the decrease in St. Jude grant funding, I know that they have reduced a lot of their grants this year. Is that going to affect any of our programs that are listed in the LCAP right now? Are we going to have to go back and take anything away because we've lost that grant?
You know what, we're making some adjustments. We have some carryovers, but we are making some adjustments that are going to be there's going to be some adjustments that are going to be taking care of that, so that the losing of that funding is already accounted for in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
And in that area, we're specifically focusing on maintaining services directly for students and making sure that decrease doesn't impact what we're doing to provide services to students.
Madam President. Yeah. So I think I heard a couple different things. I just want to clarify. Literacy and FSD declining?
The iReady scores for ELA this year, in comparison to how students performed last year, we saw a little bit of a drop. But keep in mind that they're not exactly the same group of students, because as we look at 3rd through 8th grade data, you have 8th grade students last year who left, who are no longer part of this year's data. And then you have incoming 3rd grade students as well that were not a part of the data from last year. Yeah,
that's just 2 years, but when we talk about 4, 5, 6 year trend, is it declining or is it improving?
Trend-wise, it's still going up.
Right.
Similar to our SBAC scores. It's just that last year, because we had such a high growth, we kind of leveled off a little bit.
So FSD literacy improving.
Continue to improve, yes.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, I think we have periodic ways of testing standardized tests, and that's helpful to be tracking those, and I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. But LCAP, one of the things that it brings to us is this survey that we do. It's kind of more about the feel of how students and families feel on the campus. And so what stuck out to me especially was that small drop that we saw, teachers saying students are not as kind. And then especially junior high saying that they don't feel as safe and connected on campus. I wonder if you have any thoughts on that as somebody who's maybe studied this a little bit more over the years, of why we might be seeing some of that drop, and what any ideas about how to address it specifically.
I would not be able to speak to exactly why that's happening. The group of students who take the survey, it completely changes every 2 years, right? I think for us to focus on that little drop and say this is why would be really hard without talking to the students directly. But I think we are. Can we look at the exact slide?
And then real quick, I'm sorry, while Esther's pulling that up, one thing we did talk about was that we noticed as a cabinet, we talked about how we notice at, in elementary schools, kids have one teacher, right? And they stay with that one teacher. So there is that sense of climate and culture that they establish with that one teacher for that 6 or 7 years that they're at the elementary site. Now, when they get to junior high, it's not saying that they're not establishing that culture and climate, but it's a little bit more difficult to establish that sense of belonging with 6 or 7 different teachers. And so that's why we are working with Rosanna's team and Julie's team and Ed Services to create those moments where students feel connected at lunchtime, before school, and after school, and creating programs so that all students feel connected to something. And we know that some students feel connected to something, but we can't really say that all students feel connected to something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and yes, like I said, it would be hard for me to say exactly why, but if we go back to the slides about connectedness and we look at junior high students, a little bit more back. Connectedness, then we see that's one question, right? But then there are like 5, 6 questions in that one section. And if we look at connectedness, it is trending up.
It is trending up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If we look at the next slide for school safety, we look at junior high students, that is also trending up. So it was a specific question that we did see a drop over the average of the last 3 years versus now. But if we look at the overall picture, we are trending up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the things that we do with the LCAP surveys, not only present to you, obviously we use it to inform the LCAP, but we also share the results by school as well to each of the schools. And so they review that data as they work on their SIPSA. And so we make sure that they look at that, and they get the same results as we do. We just get it at the district level, at the school level, and we work with West Ed to do some of that analysis for us.
That's great. So then they can dig in and ask those questions of how do we at our school make a difference if we want to improve in these areas. Thank you.
And because we have a comprehensive SEL curriculum as well, then schools are able to find specific lessons that can address areas concerned in their own data, and then they're able to go back and provide those SEL lessons to students at particular grade levels and particular student groups, depending on what those needs indicate.
Just a quick question. How do the survey response numbers, how are those numbers compared to previous years?
So for parents, we did make an extra effort because last year we were standing in this exact same spot, and then we did get questions from the board, why are the parents' numbers so low? And so we did have 100% increase in the number of parent responses, thanks to a shout out our FSD principals and our SSAs. But the takers of elementary students, those numbers dropped. Staff dropped a little bit, and we had more administrators take the survey.
I was hoping, right, if the principals are pushing for the parents to do it, they,
Yes,
they
exactly.
have to do it themselves. Okay, I was wondering if the number of responses also had something to do with the drop, in junior high and the percentage, although it does look like, we're almost hitting our target. And I also was interested in the junior high because and the numbers aren't quite there, but they are improving from previous years. And I like to hear that they're interested in participating in the events that you guys are having on Fridays. I know my daughter, a junior higher, who is not a very active social person, will just hang out with her little group, did mention that now on Fridays they have extracurricular activities that they can do. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys answering all our millions of questions that we had before the presentation because it's very informative. So thank you.
We appreciate the question.
Thank you for saying that. And I'm still coming to the meeting on Friday and want to take your dance class. I'm not going to forget about that.
No more questions from the board? Well, we do appreciate all the work that goes into this. I think part of the reason we ask about the parent numbers is we usually have such engaged parents. So, but I think maybe it shows that they know we're doing a good job. I appreciate what you've done in putting this together. And we know that this is the work at every single school site as well to continue this work, not just this presentation, but a lot more goes into it. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, that is all for presentations. We'll move on to our consent agenda items. So are there any items that need to be pulled or discussed before we vote on approving them as a block?
I don't want to pull any, but I had some comments about them.
Okay.
Want me to do them now?
Go ahead.
I wanted to thank all of our donors in our community. If we look, Fullerton Educational Foundation was able to donate more than $11,000. Orange County Community Organization or Foundation was $7,000, and All the Arts, $13,000. So our community really steps forward and to help our students enhance the learning that we have. So thank you to all those donors. I appreciate item CC, just protecting our student data and adding that there. Thank you for all of your answers to all of our questions. Got some great things with CTE. And then I want to give a shout out to Joshua, who is representing us again in our technology. So thank you for going the extra effort on that one. I think that was it for consent.
Yes, go ahead.
Just making one comment on item W, basically helping us remodel some kitchens. I want to give a shout out to Victor and his team. I think when budgets get tight, I know budgets are getting tight all across the state, it would be tempting for some boards to look where they can cut costs and save some money. But we're investing in nutrition services to make sure that our kids get healthy and tasty meals. And item W is proof of that. So thanks, Victor.
Yeah, we enjoyed some of those meals today. We had dumplings to celebrate Lunar New Year. Thank you.
Only fix your bathrooms.
Anything else? Okay. Well, then all matters of the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by the board in one motion. So do I have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Great. Then we move on to our discussion items, beginning with action item A, which is approving our revision to the board policy 5145.13 on response to immigration enforcement. Dr. Chad, do you want to start our conversation on this?
Yes, there was legislation passed back in September and October of 2025 that updated different components of immigration enforcement and protection for students and for communities. And so as a result, the Attorney General of California created a model policy that needed to be put in place, and that model policy was completed in January. And then from that model policy, we took that, and we already had a immigration enforcement policy, which is policy 5145.13. So this policy has now been modified to integrate the information from the California Attorney General's model policy. And because this policy has to be uploaded to the state of California by March 1st, we weren't able to do a first read on it, but it's being brought to the board tonight in one action as a first read and an approval, so we can get it uploaded to the state on time. We have, not only because of the shortage in time, but because of the integration of the two policies, we did have this reviewed by our own legal counsel as well, Mary Hernandez, who was able to help us put this board policy together to make sure that it's compliant with the requirements of the new law and also is matched to the policy we already had in place.
I want to thank you, Dr. Hammett, for working hard on this. You know, we all were part of the process last March, April, when we revised our immigration policy based on changes that were happening at the federal level that affected us. I thought that we did a really great job of being proactive and thoughtful about reflecting both the law and what we wanted to do to keep our community safe. So when this new model legislation or model policy came out from CSBA and from the California Department of Education, it raised the bar for many because it complied with new laws that came out in January, but it didn't raise the bar for us. And in fact, it was we felt like was going to be lowering our standards, or at least not having the rigor that we wanted. So I appreciate that you took our previous policy, made it compliant with the new expectations from the Department of Education, so that we're not losing any of the good things that we had made sure were there for our community. Things like making sure that we are keeping our strongest standards around, that we do not cooperate with ICE, and that we shall conduct training of our staff. It's not optional, to make sure that our community knows their rights, that we will explicitly look for judicial warrants. That was not originally in the suggestion that they gave us, but that we are working to make sure that we are following procedures, and that even if ICE is to enter into our campuses, that we have a policy of how we respond effectively to continue to keep our kids safe and our staff safe. So appreciate all the work that's gone into making sure that we're still keeping our highest standards for this. And one of the things I want to point out is this policy does specify that while we won't interfere or obstruct justice, that it is legal to film and observe any immigration action, and that is part of the way that we expect our community to respond.
I did have a question. So the additional piece of this with you have it bolded, or it was yellowed on the third page. When we talk about not obstructing, so we're bringing in the DOJ's guidance and putting that in there. I think my question is that the paragraph itself is a little bit, there's a repeat. I think that when we talk about simply documenting the activities of the employee, including by filming or recording their conduct or taking steps outlined in this board's policy, such as requesting officers for an employee's credentials, will not constitute unlawful obstruction or interference. I think we're clarifying that for our staff members. I'm hoping that this paragraph is in there to protect our staff, right? In telling our staff that we don't want them to get in the way. There's policies in place on what they need to do, and we don't want them to get in the way, but they can record. But if you look on page 2, where we have number two, when we say in short, receiving a verbal, is that up here? So number 2, where we're telling our staff what to do, we put in here, we actually have document all aspects of the encounter, including the officer's credentials, name, badge number, phone number, and officer supervisor, the reason for being on school grounds, identify all school personnel who communicated with the officer, make copies of all documents produced, and film the interaction if possible to do so safely. We have that in here already. Do we have to have it in here twice?
I think it's advisable to have it in twice because the original guidance did not include that. But what we're seeing is challenges where many folks are saying that just simply legally observing is interference. And we're asserting the legal right of our staff to observe, and that is not illegal or interference with justice.
Could we go back to number 2, and could we add that over here where it says, and could we add, these actions do not constitute unlawful obstruction or interference? Could we add it to that section where it's already put in there? On page 2, we go down. Yeah, right there. On that one, could we add that these actions do not, wherever, what we're saying over here on this side is, we're saying it, but can we just say that these actions do not constitute unlawful obstruction or interference? Could we move it to there so that it's already there, and then strike it from here so that it's not so much in this one spot?
I personally would not like to move it. I would like to leave it, only because in 1 we are making we are stating that this is not, this is the protocol and this is what which is what we've been training our staff to do. But also because the other part is part of a new write-up that has been required by the California Department of Education to be added to it, we want to make sure that our staff knows that by following our policy or by following our protocol, they are not breaking the law if they do, in fact, as Ruthie mentioned, that they are not breaking the law and they're within their right to be able to record and follow our policy as stated. So I would actually would not mind having it repeated there, only because it just adds.
I have a related concern, if I may, Madam President. Can we actually go to the highlighted portion? I think it is on the next page.
Yeah, third page. However, district staff.
Yeah, so I have concerns with the inclusion of this paragraph, and I would recommend deletion of the paragraph entirely, mainly because I do think that while our existing policy was stronger in many ways, and I do appreciate we include some of the elements that made it stronger, and again, want to give a shout out to some members of the board that led the way in the state. The reason I'm concerned about the inclusion of this paragraph is I actually think might risk doing the opposite, that it actually might risk putting our staff and the district in liability. I read this paragraph to do two things. One, it tells you that you shall not unlawfully do something, which I think is redundant. We don't want any staff to do unlawfully anything at any time. So I don't think the inclusion of telling them that they can't do something unlawfully is necessary. But more important is I actually think the stating of, hey, if you stand there and record, that is not illegal. I believe that to be true. But that is a legal conclusion that I don't think is wise to include in a board policy for two reasons. One, if somebody disagrees and make an arrest. So the scenario I'm imagining is where a teacher who believes it is absolutely important and necessary to do something gets arrested for doing something that people on this board might feel to be lawful. Now there's a consequence and possible potential for board disciplinary action because they violated the board policy. And secondly, I do think that if you put this into a board policy, staff will rely on the board's legal conclusion here. I was told this was legal. And now they're getting arrested for doing the thing that we told them was legal. So I would recommend against inclusion of this paragraph because it has almost the counterintuitive effect of increasing liability for staff who are just trying to do the right thing.
So I appreciate that you brought that up, James, because this beginning of the paragraph was recommended by the Department of Education. I think it puts us in a really difficult place because we basically are saying we don't cooperate, but if they get in, this is what you do. You don't get in their way. And I think that puts our staff in a really difficult place, and it also seems really wishy-washy to me. Like, we don't allow it, but if they do, I don't like that paragraph, but it was required by, I mean, it was recommended. And the challenge is, I think our lawyers looked at this, and there's different advice coming from the California Attorney General. It says simply, do not physically interfere. The Department of Ed added the piece about unlawfully obstruct or interfere and then physically impede. I would be much more comfortable cutting it completely, but I don't know that it would pass our lawyers' approval because it would then be in conflict with what the Department of Ed has recommended we must sign.
Was it the Department of Ed has required us to say that? Because
the
I know
Department of Ed
DOJ guidance
it
says do not attempt to physically impede an officer even if they appear to lack authorization to enter. If an officer enters the premises without consent, document their actions while on campus and if feasible, accompany them at all times.
I would be very happy having
That's what DOJ, that's their DOJ guidance on what you should say.
Right, and that's what the Department of Ed will look for, is that DOJ's guidance based on that model policy.
Yeah, and as a reminder for those in TV land, we are trying to come up with a policy that is compliant with state law while maintaining some of the strengths of our leading edge policy that we passed not so long ago. And I think some of those strengths are incorporated here. No beefs from me there. But I do think inclusion of this paragraph potentially increases the liability of staff who are trying to do the right thing.
Are we as a board comfortable with reducing it down to simply the DOJ guidance that says don't physically impede? So in order to keep our staff physically safe? Bev, do you want to read that line again?
Sure. It says, do not attempt to physically impede an officer, even if they appear to lack authorization to enter. If an officer enters the premises without consent, document their actions while on campus. If feasible, accompany them at all times. But it doesn't add district property or a non-public area. You know how we put it in there? I mean, I think.
But that's in
add-
other places of
add-
policy, I think.
Right, add that
Yeah.
piece in there because we're protecting them everywhere. Maybe fine tune it to
Yeah.
that.
Well, and I think it's implied because we say they're not allowed to enter buses, non-public areas, and then that specifically says if they come, don't physically impede them.
So then we don't have to put
I don't think we need to.
transportation or any of that. I mean, just keep it short. I do know that we're going to have administrative regulations.
Yes.
about this, right? And
Yeah.
and I think that as board policy, we're broader, but the administrative regulations that tell our staff exactly step 1, step 2, step 3 would maybe include some of this that I would feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But it again, this is a conversation.
Yeah.
I do think that we could
Yeah.
To me, as long as I'm okay rewarding this, specifically to what the DOJ is requiring that we do, because again, we have to follow state law. At the same time, I want to ensure that our staff and everyone in the district knows that we have their best interest at heart, and we are not going to put anything in our policy that's going to put them in any type of harm or danger at any point. So I feel like even if it's repetitive, it's important that we make that clear in our policy.
Well, and a clarification, is it the Department of Ed that is requiring this?
So
This verbiage?
It's
Or is
it,
it the
it's the Attorney General, per the law, it's the Attorney General that has to provide the model policy, the model policy.
What I read.
Which is what you read. And then from there, we have to upload it. It's the first time in my 30 years in school business that I've seen us have to actually upload a board policy to the state California Department of Education. And then they will verify that our board policy is compliant with the Attorney General's model.
I didn't see anywhere in the Attorney General's where it said those words. I mean, this was as close as I could get.
Yeah.
So to make it, I just was trying to make it cleaner and more concise, just not as much going on there.
I feel really good about the simplified statement that you read, if it's especially directly from the department.
So
Attorney General's office,
guys,
California.
Add.
Could you read it again, Beth?
Yes.
And this would replace the yellow.
Replace yellow. Do not attempt to physically impede an officer, even if they appear to lack authorization to enter. If an officer enters the premises without consent, document their actions while on campus and, if feasible, accompany them at all times.
We just have to say, instead of staff should not attempt to, right? Impede.
Correct.
Rather than a
District
direct.
staff shall not attempt. So it would be, however, district staff
Shall
not attempt to.
physically impede.
Right. So are you guys okay with that? So we would keep the however, district staff shall not.
Do we want to say that and then at the end add the end, which could be something to the effect of following them and recording them will not constitute unlawful? Do we not want to?
I think it's better.
I think that could be more administrative. Sure, that sounds more around administrative procedure and training.
Right, because we already are referencing that,
That they just shall not
They can
obstruct,
record there.
interfere,
Yeah.
and we keep it broad, the board policy, and then the
I mean, nothing in this broad
and we're saying
Well.
to do it safe.
Everything's detailed.
Right, I mean,
we
want to protect our staff.
Are as safe as possible and add as many details as possible. Our policy, since it is, I mean, following our.
But the area of simply documenting the activities of in that whole sentence, that typically could be in our
Okay, so we want to give guidance to our staff to continue to have that as part of the conversation, administrative regulations and training for staff. But as far as the policy, we can keep it very clean and just say, however, district staff should not physically impede an officer.
Yeah, and the
Attempting to-
the recording's already part of the protocol.
It is.
Because we
And
already.
that's what we're
Right.
doing.
They're allowed to
anyway.
do that.
Yeah.
We're already doing that. I mean, the only thing I would say is add that, but if we're talking about unlawful, not unlawful, and we want to be general, then we might not want to do that. So I think you could just keep that as it is. Just revise that to this one DOJ, and then that way we've covered it.
I think
so.
Yeah, I agree.
You want this?
The message is we want our staff to keep themselves and others physically safe by not interfering.
Or obstruct.
Or
Don't trust anybody these days.
Yeah. It's unfortunate we have to have the conversation. Yep. But this is what we do to ensure we're doing the best we can.
And then the rest of the policy for me was okay.
Any other issues to bring up?
But we have to approve it with the change, right?
Yep. Okay, so then we are with the change around physical impeding, then are we able to then, do I have a motion to approve this policy, which will also replace our previous policy on immigration enforcement?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so James moved and Vanessa second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No one opposed? Okay, it passes 5-0. Thank you. So we are, I believe, skipping the next item. No, sorry, not yet. We are not skipping the next item. The next item is something that we have brought. The board will discuss board communication protocols with the district staff and consider forming an ad hoc committee to review protocols. So this is something that as a board, we decided, and I was able to put on the agenda, but we, in conversations reviewing. Say something? I'm sorry. Back. Teacher, go back.
The MO with FETA.
Yeah, no, my fault. I skipped it somehow on my agenda. Okay, we'll go back. Gotta get this order. Okay, 10B, approve revisions to renewed memorandum of understanding with the Fullerton Teachers Associations, including regarding extracurricular stipends for the 25-26 school year. This is in response to our increase in salaries and the stipends that are appropriately allocated based on those new rates. Do we have any questions or concerns to raise on this item?
Everybody's on board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, then who would like to motion to approve this revision of the MOU?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor of approving this revision, MOU?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone? No? Okay, that passes 5-0. Thank you. I'm double checking before I speak. Okay, now the board will discuss the communications with the district staff and consider forming an ad hoc committee to review protocols. So we, as a board, have protocols that have been established in the past, but we are a fairly new board. And so there's an opportunity. We are in a time of change with not only new board members, but an interim superintendent and an ongoing search for a permanent position. There are a lot of new principals in our district, and it's an opportunity for us to look at the roles, the boundaries, and how we as publicly elected school board trustees conduct ourselves and work with our staff. I know for me and for, I believe, all of us on the board, we want to be one that works together. We want our staff to believe that we have their back, that we want everyone to be successful and no one to fail. And so figuring out how best to do that, how to communicate and how to build trust is really important to us as a board. And we want to make sure that we have time to think about and reflect on how we can do that better. So we recognize that, and I think it's an opportunity for us to review those that we have. So what I was wondering if we could do as a board is think about just a few topics that we might want to consider, and then possibly form an ad hoc committee, which would be 2 folks that would represent us to do some of the beginning groundwork to start the conversation, and then bring it back to present to the board for approval or
even editing and then approval. So I will start with, I think one of the topics to be considered would be school visits and planning when to alert or tell principals and how to include the superintendent and admin staff in that process might be one topic that the ad hoc committee could consider.
I have one thing, Ruthie. I
Okay.
bring up is initially I thought ad hoc committee would be great because that takes the work of everybody, makes two people sit down and go through that. But then I thought about it and I thought, again, it is a newer board. It is a time to sit down and look at that. I think we've all have had the protocols in front of us, and sometimes reading them and being part of the conversation are two different things. And not that I want this board to have to go through the painstaking process of looking at these. I think that they're very important. And I think as a group, there's much more buy-in when we all have say, as opposed to an ad hoc committee. I think at first I thought the ad hoc committee would be great because I was going to make sure I was on it. But I just think that having all of us have that conversation to be able to develop protocols, because as we sit here as a board, there are 5 of us here that are elected. We're elected by our community. The only oversight we have is us. We can only be our own accountability.
Well, and the voters, right?
And the voters, right? But the voters don't know really what we're doing unless someone says it. And we don't know what we're doing, right? And so I think that we have to be more accountable to each other, and we have to be more accountable to say, hey, that was a protocol, and this is what we need to do. I do think that having all of us develop those protocols, and it may not be 4 pages of them, it may be something that's a little smaller, but I think I truly believe that there'd be more buy-in and there'd be more accountability if we all are part of that process and part of that conversation, because there are going to be our rules to govern each other. I don't know if I want 2 people making up the rules to govern. I just think that if we're all a part of it, we'll all have more buy-in. But I could go either way, obviously, as long as I'm on the committee. But I just think it's worth a conversation on how you guys feel. I've gone through this process before, and I really feel like sometimes the only way you learn it and feel it and understand it is by being part of that. Like when you have to read bylaws, our board has bylaws that we could do an ad hoc committee because the board bylaws are outdated, right? I have all kinds of tabs on the ones that need to be done, and I'd be more than happy to do that. But the protocols themselves, I think, are our governing rules. And that's different than our own board policies that we have. So that's just a conversation that I had. And I think that your list of these things is all great. I think there's probably more, but I just would like to have that time as a board to be able to do that. I don't know how you guys feel. This is the only time we can have this conversation.
I agree with you, Beth. I don't think we need an ad hoc committee to put all that together. I think if, like you said, we are a new board, and if we could all come up, is this something, I'm just curious, Chad, is this something that we as a board need to come up with and do it in open session, or is this something that we could maybe come together, I don't know, with cabinet, our lawyers? We've done workshops before where we don't necessarily, and it could still be open, where we have it in a smaller room. It doesn't have to be in here. And whoever wants to be a part of the conversation can come to the meeting. It doesn't necessarily have to be a closed session meeting. I forget what those
Study session.
like a study session,
Right.
Where we could have somebody come in and we can all just discuss it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be during a school board meeting. We can, once we have maybe a list of the protocols in the list, we can then bring it up in open session and talk about what we decide in a group. Is this something that we could do?
Yeah, generally what happens that I've seen when boards do this is they generally would meet for a study session.
Okay.
And those can happen a variety of ways. Those could be held on another day. You could actually hold a study session before a board meeting if you wanted. I've seen some boards do it after, which I don't recommend. But hold that study session, do your work together as a board, with or without a consultant, whatever you feel is more comfortable. And then once you have those in place, you bring them back to one of your regular board meetings to have any further discussion and for approval.
And we have a document we could start with. You have a starting point of what we just got a copy of today and that we all have.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, if we plan something, we know we have a study session in 2 weeks. We can then do our homework on what are our most important, what do we think are the most important governing laws that we have, our protocols that we have on here. What are the things that we need to really concentrate on that might have come up lately that we're saying, oh, this is something we really need to address, and come with those, and then that's a starting board. And staff, you, as you guys know how we operate, you can, these are things that will be helpful for our staff members to be able to be part of that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, I just know that living it and breathing it and doing it makes a difference.
I think, like you mentioned, Vanessa, having that study session involved not only the board but the cabinet, and possibly bringing in as well some model documents from some other districts of some protocols they have would allow it for a more fuller conversation regarding what that looks like.
Yeah, because I would love this for it to be a conversation that we're all having amongst each other. Like Ruthie said, holding each other accountable, making sure, or Bev, holding each other accountable and making sure that because we are new, because we are learning together, being able to have these types of conversations where we can be open and honest with each other. I think that would be great, rather than just having two people come up with a list and then talking to us about it.
So I think
I would definitely be open to doing that.
I'm absolutely open. It just, we need to set a time aside then in the next weeks, months, right, to have a study session, at least an hour. I would say maybe not March, since we're doing all of our interviews and superintendent search activities. So maybe in April. We can wait that long.
So I would have Anna reach out to everyone and see if we can find a time in April. I don't know that an hour would be enough. I'd like to say maybe if we could give ourselves an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I know if we don't use all the time, we don't use all the time, but I think an hour would be pretty constraining. But
Yeah.
we'll have Anna work with everyone's schedule to see if we can find a time in April. I don't know, Saturday night, something right along those lines. So we'll
Not a Saturday night.
Trustee Alvarez, what are you thinking over there?
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's good to do a study session,
Okay.
just not on Saturday night.
No.
Okay. With James.
I don't know. Saturday morning is pretty fresh.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we have had board retreats in the past, half day kind of things. And I think this could be, I think it's a good opportunity for us to, now that we are reconfigured again, work together. And I think in the meantime, we can affirm that the protocols that we have stand for now. We will try to review, and we've all received them. We will review them and try to follow them as best we can in ways that are going to be productive for the well-being of all of the district. But we will also bring new ideas and new perspectives as we consider putting this together, hopefully in April. Okay. Then do we need to approve that action? These are action items. No? Okay. Discussion. Great. Discussed. Okay. Then, and we're skipping D. That's the part I was going to. We're not selecting our CSBA delegates this time. So now we're going to get to item 11, administrative reports, and we've got a lot of new board policies to review.
Right. So on these board policies, these are all brought for a first read. What I'm going to do for the board is go ahead and resend those out through email, and then I would ask board members to any suggested changes, edits, questions, etc., to provide those. And then what I will do is work with staff that will mark those up with the changes in different colors, which will allow the board to see what changes have been recommended without names. So there's no thought that there be anything happening behind the scenes. And then that would allow the board then to make any changes for the second read as we move forward and we bring those back to the board.
And can you explain why we have 2 new board policies on here, and then why generally we're having a lot because we have to do a couple of them.
Right. We're bringing this many at one time, not because we wanted to pile on a lot of board policies, but there's a lot of changes that have happened with legislation. So all of these changes in board policy are prompted by legislation. And so we have 2 that are related to mental health needs and then behavioral health supports that are required by legislation. And then 3 other policies that are related to immigration and immigration safety concerns, which are the 0450, the Community Safety Plan, 1340, Access to Community Records, and 5125, Student Records. So all of these need to be in place due to that change in legislation.
Dr. Chad, are you saying that you would, rather than having the discussion right now, you want us to save it for next?
We could do it either way. We could discuss them now and make the changes. For
I find it's helpful sometimes to have a conversation with the board if we are prepared. I have a few very small comments I'd like to make on some of these policies, as well as some explanation that I was able to have a conversation today on with Jeremy and others that I think don't require edits and changes, but just help me better understand why the language was the way it was. So could we just go quickly through them, and if we have edits, we can have those conversations now. I'll start with EP 5141.5, which is on mental health, is the first on our list. Does anyone have any comments or input that they want to discuss right now?
I don't yet.
You don't yet? Okay.
I like to wait till after you've done it.
Okay. I just
Right. I think
I just have questions and notes.
Yeah.
On the mental health one.
Sure. Okay.
Regarding, do you want me to go line by line, or can I just read my notes and
I think that's okay.
On this.
And Anna and Dr. Chad will take notes too.
Okay. So regarding parent consent, I think on here we were talking about a 12-year, a student 12 years of age or older may consent to mental health treatment. Do we have clear guidance for staff on when parent notification is legally required versus when it's restricted? Is one of my questions based on the information that was on here. And then who makes that determination and how is it documented? Because I'm not sure if this is something that we need to add to the board policy itself, or maybe just something that is separate more on directives and protocols that we have for our staff. Because as much as I want to make sure that our minor consent rights are protected, I also want to make sure that parents are not improperly excluded when it comes to making sure that a 12-year-old is getting mental health.
Right. So all of those issues are handled in the AR as we get more into the details about the proper consent. Any parents do have to sign off for students to receive services, which often becomes some of the gap that we see in our mental health services, is sometimes parents don't consent to having mental health services when staff is recommending that the child receive services. So we would detail all that, and then we always require consent unless, of course, the child's 12 or older. Then that no longer is required under the statute.
Okay. And then based on, I think, what I understood from what was written here, that we allow sometimes children to get telehealth sessions while they're on campus. So I was just curious, again, these are just things that I was wondering while I was reading the protocol or the policy. My question was, do we already have a written emergency protocol in place when these children are taking these telehealth sessions on school campus? Like, who is actually physically, we do. So I see you shaking your head.
Yeah.
Who is physically, so we know, everybody at school knows who is physically responsible if a crisis occurs while this child is having, okay, so who's gonna?
And we actually, the areas where the
parent
children,
notify?
where the children receive telehealth services, we actually have at least a glass door, if not a larger glass area where the children can be observed, but they're receiving their services. So if there was any sort of a crisis or any sort of intervention, staff would be aware, and there is actually a staff member who is responsible for watching and maintaining eye contact on that student during those telehealth sessions.
Okay, only because it wasn't, thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. And then also, I'm assuming that same person is responsible, or you at the district level are responsible for all the documents or anything that is mental health related, and it's not stored at the site? Is it stored at the district level or at the site? Any mental health notes or referral information? Sorry.
Oh. Hi. Okay, so we have a database that we use with Hazel Health, and we can track all of the information on an ongoing basis. And we do have a protocol. If there's a crisis, they know what to do. We know what to do. We go over that with our administrators. So everyone is very aware of what to do. And I have access to the database. I can check and see where everybody is in the referral process. And notes are usually confidential, like patient-client confidentiality. So we don't really get into the notes of things because those are protected by FERPA. So we have general overviews of what is happening. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Only because it was, as I was reading it, there's a lot of detail and there's a lot of information, and those were just some of the questions that were coming to my head as I was reading. Children, 12 years old, they're minors, and I understand being able to have, I understand the safety part of it with children being able to not feel safe and be wanting to have, I think we've had this conversation on mental health and how the stigma of it for a lot of families. And we want to make sure that our children get the support services that they need when they need it, but that we also have a protocol in place when we are allowing these children to be able to have their mental health assessments during school hours.
And just for clarification, only about 20% of our students are getting it at school.
That's unfortunate. I wish it was.
No, I mean 80% of them are getting services at home, and only 20% do it during the school day.
Okay, sorry, I'm like, I misunderstood you. Okay, that's great. But I also have a note here that says, I love the poster idea, bathrooms, public places. I just have a big heart for that. Those are all my notes. Thank you.
And,
welcome.
And as a clarification, most of this is dictated to us to have in our policy, correct? The ages
Yes.
and the consent and the
Yes.
Right.
Thanks. I had one very small suggestion, and that is on the third paragraph. I wanted to make sure that we bring attention to the issue of reporting abuse, because throughout this policy, I didn't see anywhere where that's mentioned as a key component of addressing mental health is reporting abuse and concerns. And so while this paragraph says, to the extent possible, the district shall focus on preventative strategies with increasing students' connection to school, create a support network and peers and trusted adults, and provide techniques for conflict resolution, I would add, as well as reporting abuse and concerns, because I think that that is a really critical piece of intervention and prevention of future mental health challenges when we are able to intervene and stop abuse. And it's just not part of the policy as it exists right now. It is part of mandating reporting, but I think that they are very much cross-referenced to one another because we can't address mental health of a child if they're experiencing ongoing abuse and trauma. So I want to make sure it's included in this policy. It's a suggested edit. We can think about and vote on next time.
Say once we add in, are we adding in any suggestions to the policy now, right? And then when you send it out to us again, will it have the initial changes?
Right. What you'll see is in a different color will be
Okay.
added suggestions.
So we'll have the suggestions from this evening, and then we'll add it again.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to look at them, and then when we come back for the second read, then you'll be able to say yes or no as a board to those added suggestions.
Yeah. Any other added suggestions or discussion items on this mental health policy? If not, we can move on to the 5141.3 behavioral health, which I double checked as a broader category that includes mental health, but also includes behaviors like substance use, disordered eating, and others that affect children's well-being. I have two small edits for this I would like to suggest. On the second page, there's a section on training, and it says the Fullerton School District shall ensure that teachers, and it says right now, of pupils in grades 7 through 8 receive training on pupil behavioral health. But I would like to strike that clause of grades, limiting it to just grades 6, 7, and 8, because I believe that all of our students receive some form of, or all of our teachers of all students receive some form of training around mental health as well as behavioral health. There's very little specifications of exactly what is required, but I think it is something that we would like to see all of our teachers trained in.
And they're already being trained in it, correct? Are we adding something to the curriculum or the teacher training by adding that, or are we already doing it?
Do we do that?
It's actually required for 7th and 8th grade teachers at this point, but we could expand that to according to these guidelines for all teachers.
But are we already doing that?
For 7th and 8th grade, we are, and to an extent with primary, it looks a little different, obviously. These signs in a TK or kindergarten student would look very different than you would see in 7th and 8th grades. So
I guess
the
my
question is
that we're adding a board policy, we're adding grades K through whatever. How much is that going to change what we do as a district and the requirements for our teachers?
The challenge always, when we add more grades, is tracking and just keeping the record keeping. So it's just making sure that we're adding that component and then keeping track of it with our tracking.
So you're asking, does this add to a teacher's workload in terms of what they're already doing? Yeah. So they already have PBIS lessons that they have to do. We are revising some of those lessons to modernize them as part of our committee efforts, but it won't add to what they're currently doing. We don't want to add to their workload. So no.
And so is that edit adding to their workload is what I'm asking?
No, it should not be.
So I just want to make sure that we're not, by adding a couple words to a board policy, that we're not adding
to what they have to
of our teachers.
No, because they're already
We're not doing that.
Yeah, they're already implementing a lot of these PBIS strategies as well.
That's it. We're already doing it, so we're just reflecting that in our board policy.
Okay.
But it sounds like there is some operational side of tracking whether we're doing it for all grade levels.
Right. Just
so intentionally on the HR side, track that we currently are only doing that for 7th and 8th. We're not doing that for all.
Right. So we just need to ensure that all teachers are getting the training in these bullet points listed here, correct?
Yeah, I think since they are already receiving some sort of training, right? Just when they are receiving that training, add the bullet points on here. Is that what you're saying? Because they're already going to be receiving training? Is that?
Well, so this, I just wanted to strike that it's only reserved for grades 7th or 8th, because it's an acknowledgement that we do it for multiple grades. And actually, we don't have to say every single teacher, because maybe the TKs aren't. I mean, they do. They have their own version of it, but it's more general, saying that teachers will receive this training rather than saying only 7th and 8th grade teachers, right? So if we leave it broad, I'm okay with that, and that allows our staff to make the decisions about what's appropriate at which grade levels. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, I think I understand. You're keeping it as district shall ensure that teachers receive.
Yeah.
So it cross out of pupils in grades 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Unless we have to have 7th
Trained
and 8th
on
there, the policy.
Right?
Unless law says we have to have that verbiage in there. So just make sure we're not striking something that we have to have.
We will double check.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're not striking, causing causing a problem with legal compliance.
I was wondering too if we should cross-reference with, so our mental health policy says that we're teaching 7th and 8th graders things like signs of depression, mental health suicidality, substance misuse. Or actually, it doesn't talk about substance because that's a behavioral health. Are we planning to teach students about behavioral health, or is that restricted only to mental health? I would add a paragraph around teaching students 7th and 8th grade age-appropriate education to recognize the signs of behavior and mental health distress. Again, I don't want to add additional work to our middle schoolers, but it's required in mental health by the law and ed code.
We haven't necessarily done around the behavioral health
Mm-hmm.
piece. I think we'd have to do a little more research into that to see what are the requirements and what's available
Okay.
around that area.
It's probably covered. I mean, they're very much overlap, right? It's simply, I think things like substance use, maybe self-harm, disordered eating would be more behavioral health rather than mental health. But my guess is when we cover mental health and well-being, that those things get included.
Right, changes to physical changes that we see in students.
Yeah.
Changes to behavior, those sort of
Yeah.
things, correct, in the mental health area.
Yeah. I just want to
Mental health area or behavioral health area? Those are two different.
Well, in the mental health area, we talk about those behavior. They do overlap quite a bit, as
Yeah, they
because
do.
one leads together. So
Okay.
yeah, they are linked.
Okay. Did you want to add something, Bev? No? Okay. Okay. Then we will move to then the Comprehensive Safety Plan, BP 0450. This is a pretty heavy lift for a lot of schools every year to revise their public safety plan, comprehensive safety plan. I know we have district support to back them up and create templates that are useful and are revisited by our school site councils every year. I called Dr. Chad today because there's a paragraph 1, 2, 3. It's hard because there's a lot of crossed out ones. But after it begins with the district board shall review the comprehensive school safety plans in order to ensure compliance with state law. We went back and forth because really I believe it's the job of the staff to review these these comprehensive safety plans in order to ensure that they comply with law and policy, and then the board approves it. So I would like to, instead of saying district board, I would say the superintendent or designee shall review the comprehensive school safety plans. And then at the end it says, and the board shall approve the plans as at a regularly scheduled meeting. I think that aligns better with our policies and our protocols.
I agree with that, but why was it changed? Why did you add the board? It was the district shall review.
That was an update from CSBA, I think.
The CSBA added district board. They set it to district board. So I don't know why they made that change, but it wouldn't make sense for the board to ensure the compliance. That's really administrative work. Yes.
So that's not a law.
That's not a law.
Not a law.
The board has to. I think where they made the mistake is they added the and shall approve.
Right.
So that's where they ended the board, but really it's the superintendent or designee shall ensure the compliance with state law, board policy, administrative regulation, and the board shall approve the plan. The board needs to fall right before the shall.
Yes.
For the approve.
Correct.
So small changes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense.
Any other edits or concerns? Discussion?
Not ready with that one either.
Okay. Then the next is the access to community records.
The district records?
Yeah, this is based on the Public Records Act, right?
And are the changes in this one reflecting changes that have been mandated for us?
Yes, these are all mandated changes. Yes.
Yeah, my question was on the social media monitoring program, but you've already answered that question.
The social media? What's the question?
We don't have a social media monitoring program.
Oh, that's student records, I think, is the next final.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah, okay.
Did you have anything?
So nothing on 1340 then, on no input at this point. We still have a chance to do it before the next board meeting. The last policy that we're looking at tonight for a first read is the student records 5125, which has some minor updates from CSBA that are bolded in our copy of this. And yeah, there were some questions. Mostly I was trying to understand the legalese of some of these text. So Jeremy, if you would like to explain some of the two questions were around whether we have social media monitoring and whether parents can opt out of data being collected on their children by third-party vendors.
Yeah, there's a paragraph. I want to, but there's a paragraph that basically says if the vendor owns data, what are they going to ask us if the child hasn't been here for 60 days? So what that's part of Ed Code, and what that does is if a parent says I want my child's data removed from a program, they can't do it while the child's still in school because then the program would become useless. They still have to be in our curriculum, they have to be in Google and all those things. But once a child leaves, if a parent contacts a vendor and says I want all that information deleted, the vendor will reach back out to us and say, have they been gone for at least 60 days? And we just verify. Once they've been gone for 60 days, they will then delete all the data based on the parent request. So it sounds a little strange in the actual wording, but that's wording that's lifted directly out of I think it's the Business and Professionals Code. And that's all it means. But
just to clarify, that's the third paragraph down.
Okay.
It starts with if student records containing that paragraph, right, is the one Jeremy's referencing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we see an update on basically records for students of with immigration status, so to be more protective of them and their families. And then the last question that I had asked was about the last paragraph?
student records from social media.
Yeah.
There's a social media one, and that one it can cause confusion because it makes it seem like we couldn't ever use a student's social media information without a public comment. But that's not what that is. What that is it's actually an ed code based on what happened was after a couple of the school violence issues and school shooting issues, a few school districts paid for technology that would actually track all of their student social media and like gather up all the data and look for things like threats and things like that. It was mostly for high schools. They just didn't tell anybody they were going to do it, which was of deep concern once people found out they were tracking. So California put into Ed Code, if you're ever going to do that as a district, like literally buy a piece of technology to track all your children's social media, you have to tell the parents, tell the kids, have a board item, and have a public hearing. So we have no intention of ever doing that, I hope, because I don't see a need to try and find it because the kids know how to make Finstas, there's even a name for it, fake Instagrams, where so for a company to actually try and find all the students, you wouldn't be able to anyway. So I actually think it's a worthless technology in my personal opinion. So we would never do that. So this doesn't apply to us. But if someone sees a student has posted something and sends it to us, we can absolutely act immediately on that. This doesn't mean we have to wait 3 weeks for a board meeting to have a public comment. We can immediately interact with any social media we want. We're just not tracking it with a technology. We're not buying some system to do that.
So to clarify, we are not tracking student social media.
Nope.
But if a student posted something threatening on social media, we could act immediately.
100%. As soon as it's brought to our attention, yes. Which usually that's much faster. Is someone will be afraid, another student or a parent will see and tell us long before a piece of technology would have done it anyway, because they probably wouldn't have even known which account was which. So we're still very much able to act on any information we receive.
But we do monitor emails.
Yeah, our emails, yes. Not their personal ones, but yes.
No, our personal FSD emails. Kids need to know they can be read. No expectation of privacy.
Yep. Staff or students.
That made it through all the first read of the board policies then. Unless we have any more comments or input, I think we are wrapping up. So at this point, we have an opportunity if any board members have any requests for future. Now is the time. Yes, Trustee Bergman?
I do. So as we talked about ad hoc committees, I would like to agendize, if we can, considering forming an ad hoc committee from us to review and bring revisions to section 900 of the bylaws, which are our bylaws, which some are very outdated. And so, it wouldn't all be at one time because there are several, but over the course of the next, 6 months or so, maybe our ad hoc committee can form and look at those policies and revise them. Because I did notice as I was going through them that they're a little outdated. So I would just ask. And if
Okay.
And can we form that ad hoc now, or do we have to bring it back?
you have to advertise it.
Agendize it?
Okay. We will discuss and bring it back to the agenda probably next
Somebody
month.
else agrees.
If we
I'll second that.
do we have to wait to, well, I'll put it this way. If that's an interest of yours to be personally on the by the ad hoc committee of bylaws, be thinking about that. So when we bring it back in March, you can identify yourself as someone who would like to be part of it.
I have an item. I'd like to discuss the formation of a district strategic plan. As I have visited various school sites, talked to teachers and administrators, you have LCAP, you have district grants, there are a lot of different initiatives, and looking at what other districts have done and best practices to think through it, the hiring of a new superintendent, a new board, I think it would be great to anchor ourselves on a strategic plan for the next either 3 to 5 years that would allow us to then show how public funds are being utilized compared to those strategic goals and how that is cascaded down through our district office and school site to say, these are the things as a board and as a school district that we're focused on. And if it doesn't fit into that strategic plan, we don't prioritize. Because I think that there's just a lot that we want to do all the time. And so this allows us to anchor us into a strategic plan for the district.
I love that idea. Is that something that you think should be developed once we have our superintendent in place?
I've thought about that. So I think it would be, if we are selecting a superintendent in April,
Mhm.
the July board meeting,
Mhm.
unless we get to borrow their time.
Mhm. So
But yes, July.
agenda is like the beginning conversation in July. Yep.
And I think that's something that a new superintendent is going to want to do. I mean, they're going to want to come in and be part of that conversation. So we can do it before then.
Agreed. So I think we have an end of July meeting. So the person would officially begin July 1st, and then that would give the person 30 days or so, or 25 days or so, to be prepared for a conversation. It doesn't have to be a plan yet, but
we do that in conjunction with our board goals.
So do we really want to do that right away? I wouldn't mind this being a part of our board goals as well.
Yeah. I mean, we usually do discussion on board goals in August. Well, June, August? I can't remember.
August usually.
August?
It's done, generally it's done in August.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
a new superintendent generally coming in generally likes to spend the first 6 months just getting to know the district, gathering data, being able to get out to the school sites. A lot of times you'll hear superintendents say things like look, listen, and learn. So I think setting that as a board goal may be a better thing for a new superintendent coming in, because that new superintendent, after 25 days on the job, actually it'll be like day 26, and with the 4th of July being a holiday, so it'll probably be like 25 days, they may not have a lot of information because they won't even have been to one school that's in session at that point.
Yeah.
So I think giving them some time and setting as a board goal would be something to be helpful for a new superintendent.
Thanks, Chad. That's good. So board goals in August, this would be part of it, an expectation for the superintendent to create with the board a strategic plan. And then that might be a 6 to 12 month process. Yeah.
one item. Second item I have, and staff, please feel free to chime in here. We have 45 certificated staff who are retiring, and from conversations that I've had, there is some anxiety around whether or not we look at enrollment decline and looking if we're going to backfill certain positions at schools, and whether we're going to, think through how we equitably distribute that head count across our school sites, and then looking at our funnel in terms of our talent attraction. So how we're going to fill those 45 open roles, and if we are going to backfill or not, and then what are we doing around our equity measures to bring people in through different teacher prep programs? So are we only looking at Cal State Fullerton? Do we have partnerships at Cal State Dominguez Hills, other areas, and really just kind of think through, because the next generation of school site leaders will come from our teachers. And so our community, definitely to have 45 teachers retire is a big concern for parents. Is where are we going to be getting these teachers? Or do we have long-term subs? Are they going to be net new? Are we going to source from other districts for our DLA program? So those are all of the questions that I have heard from both principals and community members about the certificated staff who are retired. I think it would be great to have a presentation or understand the comprehensive strategy around teacher recruitment and preparation for the 45.
Could I
Or broader?
recommend that maybe we start by providing the board with a communique or even an email report on what that looks like, and then from that information, then the board could make a decision on whether they'd like a presentation made to the board after they've received information from staff.
What would you want specifically in the communique that would be helpful to start the conversation?
Let me get my HR hat on. Timeline of when we're posting roles. Where are we posting to? Where do we source talent from? Are we thinking through what is our if we have long-term substitutes within the district, are we looking at that as a qualified talent pool? Are we going to do a sourcing strategy at other districts to bring them here and try to recruit based on special programs that we have at different sites? And the other is looking at data in terms of, are we going to backfill all 45, or are we going to use it as a cost savings reduction due to declining enrollment? And given that there are some issues that I've heard about in terms of RTI not being, certain school sites may not have RTI extended, could we start thinking strategically of how we're going to reallocate those dollars for maybe RTI? And so it is kind of a comprehensive strategy. So we could start the conversation with a communique, but
It's a staffing strategy.
Yeah, we
the
actually
whole staffing and sourcing strategy.
absolutely, and we can actually and rather than just use the communique, we'll actually provide you with an emailed report on the sourcing strategy. We've already started to work on that strategy in place, and we have great information on all of these things that you've mentioned on how we can make sure that we're meeting the need. One of the things that it's been a source of pride always for us at the Fullerton School District is how well we attract candidates. We generally, for our multiple subject pools, when we have openings, will attract anywhere from 400 to 500 applicants just for multiple subject openings. So we generally get a very good number of applicants. We also I'll tell you more in the report, but we also do a very good job with long-term subs.
May I say that you already have something in existence that you could start? So this request is not requiring a lot more time.
We already have.
So I would second that on getting that information to the board on your recruitment strategy, on how we're moving forward. Then we could decide from that.
Yes.
Yeah, good point of our protocol of asking how many hours do you think it will take to put together this report?
I can tell you, this is something that Mr. Wilkins and I have already been working on. This has
knowing
been
the
hot.
teachers were retiring,
This has
we've
been
talking about
yeah.
it, right?
As soon as we saw the the positions and where the vacancies are, and all of our
student numbers. All those have been
university
Planning for next year, obviously.
and the HR office works very close with the business office on the fiscal impacts. There's been a lot done on this already, so this probably will only take us just a couple of hours to put it into a format, because we'll have to take all the acronyms and all the other stuff we use out of it so the board can understand it.
Okay.
Make it sound like English.
That's a good start with a report. And then if we decide that we want a bigger conversation about long-term strategy, then, because this is a lot of it's focused on next year, right? And how do we staff for next year? But you're also looking at long-term, 10 years from now, who are we pulling up, right?
And we always start our staffing discussion. We always joke that December really for us is really starting the next school year. So we start our staffing strategies as far back as December. So we're already making decisions, getting numbers, gathering names, considering what we need to recruit, and then then we have our longer term strategies, like you mentioned, where we're looking how do we get long term talent that will be future tenured teachers, future long-term teachers, and future leaders in the district. So that's really important that we track the best.
And we're already reaching out to some of the local colleges and stuff like that to create partnerships for talent as well. And I've gotten emails from a lot of those universities as well.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we're going to have next month we will bring to the agenda an item around bylaws and looking at those. Creating an ad hoc group. We are going to be looking at our board goals in August and including in that a strategic plan that will be developed as an objective of our new superintendent over 6 to 12 months to be completed in that first year from July 1 of 2026 to 2027. And then we will look for a report in the next month or two, probably a month, right? If it's only going to take a couple hours, on our staffing.
Yeah, I say we could get it to you within the next week, if 2 at the most. But
okay,
it is a short week, so
okay,
maybe give us another week.
So we'll read. Yeah, it is a short week.
It's okay.
We will read it, and then if we want to bring it back again in March, if we decide that there's need for further conversation, this can be something we bring up at the agenda proposal in March. Yes. Okay. Then I believe we are finished. Tonight's board meeting is adjourned at 9:14 p.m. So thank you, everybody.